going on?
Is in the house.
We're
I
back.
don't know, man. Like, we've had a pretty good summer. It's been hot. It's been really hot, but we haven't had a lot of rain. And today the rain hit, and the drivers that were already bad somehow got like exponentially worse today. It was a disaster trying to get anywhere, doing anything.
The sun, it's been so hot. My grass has just hated me for about 2 months. Tried to keep it going, get the sprinkler going every once in a while. It just died out. It died out. Every once in a while, I'd be out there with a hose. I'm like, I'm wasting my time. What am I doing? This is
Probably at like 6 o'clock at night too, and it's just baking onto that thing.
Exactly. It's not going to achieve anything. And at some point, I just conceded defeat. I'm like, it's done. But now that it's rained a few times over the last week and a half, it's coming alive, man.
These are good days,
it's like it's like one of those documentaries.
This is my season, And the Jays, unfortunately, keep winning games, which means I have to be in a suit and tie down at the Dome with Hedger. And at certain points of the summer, that was a bad scene, fellas. No amount of TV makeup can protect a big guy like me from the sun.
But it's
so
beautiful
these are
now.
much better days.
Yeah,
much better
beautiful,
days.
man.
Things guys have to say.
Yeah.
When it rains and it hasn't rained in a lot, you look out the window and you say, we needed this.
Yes. Needed
Guys,
that.
You have to say it. You can't control yourself.
Gotta have it.
Another thing guys say, big third down here. You have to say that this is a big third down here.
Big third
You can't
down.
control yourself. Those are two things that are like
I can't wait to
staples
say it
of
for the
being a
first
dude.
time. My God.
Football, it's football weather, man. You can feel it. Football's here. We just crossed paths with Al's brother, and he's got, I guess, fantasy pools tonight, which just listening to these idiots out there where like JP and the Grappler and Al's brother, they're all in the same pool, and it's an auction pool where they're, I guess, talking about how much money they're going to spend on certain players. And it's just way too complicated. I have a fantasy pool tonight, and it's very meat and potatoes, which is the way I like it. And I'm excited for it because I do find when you start putting together a fantasy team, that's the real thing. I find the same thing with hockey. We talk about hockey a lot, clearly, and on this show, once the Leafs are in town and they're back on the ice, you can feel it. But I find you get going through like an ESPN fantasy or a Yahoo Sports fantasy or NHL.com, whatever you use, and you start picking off names you haven't mentioned in a while.
Yeah.
You get deep into a draft, and you're like, oh, that's right. That guy signed there. I forgot he's in Seattle now.
Exactly.
I forgot he was wherever he was. And the same thing happening with the NFL. And naturally, when I see Al's brother, I just launch into what are we doing opening night? Because I believe Hayes and Bro are going to have the pick, Eagles, Cowboys.
How's that decided? That's not a
I'm not
coin flip
sure
to-
why.
to
I'm not
start?
sure. Maybe Doogie did. Doogie sent out the text yesterday, and it was revealed to us that we're going to have that pick. And I didn't read it was one of those like too long of a text. I just sent a thumbs up, and I
Doogie?
didn't really read it.
Yeah.
It was very Doogie's very cordial. Doogie at times will send messages as if he's never met you before or trying to sell you insurance or
No,
something.
Not at times. Every time.
All the
We'll
time.
sign off.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Wishing you and your family the best. Come
All
on.
the best.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Hey.
Doogie, it's a group chat with the guys.
Yeah. Hey,
Like,
hey,
what are you doing?
you get this one random. Hey, Frankie, it's Doogie. I'm like, yeah.
Yep.
It's been saved for years in my phone.
Yeah, I know.
Josh, I
Oh,
got you, bud.
He sends me, so I interact with Doogie more than anyone else in my life, right? With the exception of my wife and my two kids, right? Like who I live with. So it's my wife, my two kids. They are in a separate category that goes without saying.
Yeah.
They are my family and I live with them, so I interact with them all the time. The fourth person in line is Doogie. Is Josh Doogie Pulis, okay?
Tough power rankings.
It's a very difficult. It's with all due respect, I love Doogie. It's a big drop off, He will send me every single Sunday night as we prepare for the next week.
Yeah.
Hey Brian, hope you had a great weekend. And then he'll launch into like good evening, or he may start it with like good evening. Hope you had a great week. I'm like, Doogie, just send me a normal text.
Get into it, man.
You know what I mean? I feel like Ben Affleck in Good Will Hunting, where he's like, I want to show up one day and you're just not here. I want to look at a text and Doogie is just right to the point one day. I will start tearing up.
Yeah.
He will just write me, Frankie's coming on, Keegan's coming on, we're coming off the Jays, Leafs are back, we should probably hammer this. Middle finger emoji. And I'd be like, yes, thank you, Doogie.
I'm a big hard details guy.
Yes, right
Especially
to the point.
because half the texts I get, I call them the Hey Keegan texts, which are appearance requests.
Yes.
And what I want is, hey Keegan, 9 a.m., question mark. and I reply with a thumbs up.
Right.
And, man, we all move on beautifully.
Beautiful thing.
It is. It's
a beautiful thing. But I'm I would say over the course of a week when we're all on the show and everything's cooking, I'll go back and forth with Doogie 60, 70 text messages.
And that's the text message portion, because then when you're in studio, Doogie he holds court out there. And I've seen him do it.
Yeah.
Where he goes over, Brian, I think we should hit on this topic, but what about from this angle? Maybe from this point of view.
This audio, this video, we have different things.
And I was just wondering, Brian, like, what's your thoughts on what so-and-so said, right? Like, he hammers it from every single angle.
Very dignified.
Can a boy not be curious? I tell you.
He's very dignified.
Let's nurture this.
I hope you had a great weekend.
Listen, you don't go from intern at TSN 1050 to producing OverDrive as quickly as Doogie has.
Yeah, that's right.
Without having a little something special.
That's right. Yeah, he's got class, man. Yeah. He's got class, and he treats people well, and he's an awesome guy. But I'm waiting for my Goodwill Hunting moment. I'm just waiting to look at my phone, and it's just cutting to the chase.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it'll happen at some point.
It'll happen.
Yeah. So we got Mark Masters coming up later, and Mark is out at the orientation camp. Team Canada obviously continuing with their Olympic preparation, and he's sitting down with with Mitch Marner today. So we'll catch up with Masters in about a half an hour. And you were down at the park last night. The Jays, it was like deja vu, man. It was actually a wild 8th, 9th inning sequence. The same thing as the night before. More runs produced last night. But I think you got to start in the bottom of the 8th, where I have so much time for George Springer the way he's performing this year, and the veteran leadership he showed in his at-bat, where you have Barger behind him, who has been in a dark place for, 3 weeks, a month maybe?
A month.
Yeah, it's a month. Like, we're talking a dark, dark place. And they're chasing the game, and Springer's as red hot as anybody, and he goes up there, and he just moves the chain. Right? He goes, I'm not going to chase anything. I'm not going to get stupid. I'm not going to be overly aggressive. I'm going to put faith in this kid who I know can do something for us if given the opportunity. I don't care that he's 3 for his last 45 or whatever it was. And, he has a great at-bat, and he's jacked up as he's running up to first base, and Barger comes up, and the hit of the season for him, and that's saying something considering how many big hits he's had.
Yeah.
I think because this was the first big slump of his major league career. Right, he hit the ground running in he slumped a little. You can't even call it a slump. When he first arrived, I think his first 5-7 games, he went hitless or had one hit or whatever. But he had just shown up, and you got to give him time to kind of acclimate himself to the major leagues. And ever since then, the guy he's been a pistol, man. He's been an unbelievable story for him, and he needed that at bat so much. And yet, I think Springer was the one who kind of that's the definition of setting the table for a guy. And full credit to George, man. Just amazing. Unbelievable what he's done all year.
Took ball 4, spins, flips the bat. He's screaming. He's pumping his fists. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And he's become this team's entire identity. And next time I'm in, we should go back to all of my spring training appearances here on this fine program and just list the 10 things I was stupidest about, but I was most wrong about. And it'd be a long list, fellas. We talked over and over about George Springer coming off a terrible year. He was down in Dunedin doing absolutely nothing. I know that spring stats don't matter, but I'm there, so I need to pretend they do. And he did nothing. And this has come out of absolutely nowhere. It's been the entire identity of this team. Like George Springer busting it on the bases, going first to home on the bases, moments like that. And then having Addison Barger come up clutch. He'd been hitting 200 this month. I think a 571 OPS this month. That's not good. And he needs to be that extra bat, that extra something that this team has, and they've been missing it, man. But to come up in that moment, it shows an adjustment. A lot of young players can come up and throw 100. A lot of young players can come up and hit a 450-foot home run. Cool. I don't care all that much. You need to survive the first adjustment, because once Addison Barger hits every ball 112, 115, if I'm the opposing starter, I do not want to get turned into a highlight clip on SportsCenter that night. You start to plan for him. Addison Barger just counterpunched. Finally. Took him a bit. Absolutely huge. It's the loudest I've heard the Dome all year.
Really?
Yeah.
Last night, for that hit last night.
Easy. And then with Vladdy coming up.
Wow.
The Twins.
Yeah.
Who aren't good.
No.
They just traded everybody, including some guys with the Blue Jays. But I couldn't name half that roster as they came up.
Right. But I think the night before probably factored into that, right?
Yeah.
Like the fact that they blew the game the night before, that's interesting that was the loudest it's been all year.
Huge. And it kept rolling into that Vladdy AB, but it's coming off that night before. And a little bit of that nervousness setting in because the Jays were on a heater for so long.
Yes.
And they've been comfortably 5 or 6 above Boston and New York for so long. You feel them creeping up again. You get that little bit of nervousness in your body again, which is part of being a Toronto sports fan. You're always worried how it's going to go wrong, how everything's going to fall apart. But that was huge because if they had lost that game, imagine the conversation we're having right now.
Well, then
imagine
you're
if
off
Jeff
today
Hoffman had have blown it.
Right.
If the bullpen had have blown it again, it is doom and gloom. And the story I had written in the 8th, fellas, was a pretty cranky story. And I was saying outside, I was still in recovery mode from a couple nights before at Oasis. I think I was projecting a bit.
Yeah.
A little bit of my bad mood was dribbling into the story.
Mm-hmm.
It was really cranky. Then I had to write about the biggest win of the year, maybe, for them. Just fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Every win's going to be the biggest win of the year.
It is.
Like
Every single one.
Once you shrink it down to less than 30 games.
Too, right? Like, the Yankees were here. The Jays beat up on them, and that's a time where the crowd will get very loud. But now that the games mean so much more because, man, you lose and someone else wins around you, Boston or New York.
They both won last night.
You're all of a sudden 3 games up on them, and that doesn't feel as comfortable as 4 or 5 games. And Jeff Hoffman gets a chance to redeem himself. Now, I don't think you look at last night and say I'm comfortable now, like we're ready to go. I don't.
And it wasn't 3 up, 3 down, and clean
No.
necessarily, but
gives up a hit, right? But at least whatever thought was going through his head the previous night when it was awful, maybe now he gets to see something that's a little more pleasant for him. And it's not a whole reset. He's right back at it, but hey, at least he got it done as opposed to the alternative, which could have been far worse and honestly more devastating mentally.
Well, I don't think there's any way to come back. I don't think you can overstate if he blows that game last night. That's it. It's over. I think it would force the hand of John Schneider to have to change the complexion of your bullpen. Even if it is just a reset and you say we're willing to go back, or in the back of your mind you're thinking in a week we're going to go back. If you blow 2 games back-to-back at home against the Twins, that's enough. That's it. It's over, especially with an off day today where you got a stew in it, and then you got Milwaukee here tomorrow. But yeah, Sox have won 4 in a row. Yankees have won 4 in a row. Now you get a 3.5 game lead on Boston, 4.5 on New York. But I think Schneider, obviously he made the right play to go back to Hoffman. He tipped his hand on what ultimately they're going to do in the end, right? Or what they still believe is the best course of action for their bullpen is to have Hoffman as a conventional closer.
Yeah.
Like to have him as your 1A guy in any position of leverage. And if you're going to have faith in him, and they all said the right thing, Chris Bassett was probably leading the charge the night before, who's a good teammate, and came out and said, we have full faith in this guy. Everyone's allowed to have an off day. If that's the messaging, then you had to go back to him last night. And they did. And to their credit and Hoffman's credit, he got the job done. And he went from getting booed off the field the night before to getting cheered off 24 hours later.
And that's their best bullpen. If Hoffman's good, that's the best bullpen. Putting Sir Anthony Dominguez in, Louis Varlin, something like that, and trying to find a spot for Hoffman, that's not it. They need Hoffman in there. And I like that John Schneider put him right back out. Man, John Schneider's thing is sticking behind players who he believes in. I remember this last year with George Springer. I had to ask him the same question, probably an annoying amount of times, about how are you going to keep playing George Springer? What's wrong with him? And he kept insisting, listen, there are things I believe in. We've got numbers. I've got belief in him. And I thought he was wrong. He was right. He's not going to bat 1,000 with that. But when you do it for a reliever like that, like this guy's, when I talk to any alumni about Cito Gaston, is the number one thing that comes up. You never had to worry that he was looking over your shoulder. Every single player I've ever talked to from 92 and 93, first thing they say, Cito Gaston never made you worry about your job or your role. If I gave up 3 runs one night, I knew I'd be back in there the next day. I knew exactly when I'd get pinch hit for. There was no surprises, no worries, no anxiety. And that's so important for a manager. I think Schneider nailed that one, getting him back out there. Now, if it goes wrong, it's first story today. We're talking for 20 minutes about who's going to close games for the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah.
But when you roll the dice at the right time and it works, that's pretty special.
Kind of wild that it honestly was available to them in that.
Yeah.
Like it was a carbon copy. You're coming up with a 1-run lead in the 9th. What do you got? And basically the same portion of the order was coming up. Yeah. It was a very similar scenario 24 hours later, and this time Hoffman got through it.
Dude, that's your dream as a player, though. Like as an athlete, you're just sitting there thinking, I can't wait to try and redeem myself here. I wish I could get the circumstance where I could just get back after this thing. You don't want to stew in it and sit in it. And sure enough, good for him. Now he's got to he's obviously got to keep performing. He's got to keep the ball out of the air and going deep out of the ballpark, do his thing. And ultimately, like the bullpen woes, don't you think it kind of works like this? If the closer is doing his thing, everyone else just kind of like slots in line under that. Isn't he kind of the head of the bullpen that way?
It's right? Supposed to, conventionally, of course. Right. Absolutely. He's got to be your best arm. Listen, they have a month. You don't need 7 or 8 guys. That's not possible. You're not going to have 6, 7 guys who are all peaking in October. They need 3, maybe 4, that you can really rely on. And they have a month to figure that out. Like these are the guys they have. Now, maybe they bring you Savage up. Like that's possible. Maybe they transition someone to the bullpen. Lauer got rocked last night. I kind of felt for him. It looks like he's had such a good year. Then he gets thrown into you're out of the rotation. Now you're back in a 6-man rotation and gets rocked.
He was fighting. That was a tough battle for him.
It was.
He gets 10 days rest when he had been pitching so well. It's like any you take someone out of their routine, man. Like it's not easy to just jump back in, especially a guy who is not like a big marquee name. That's with a lot of pedigree.
What makes him more damaging is he's not. That's just going to be his reality the rest of the way. Like if they go to a 5-man rotation, he's coming out. And I don't see a role for him in the bullpen. I'm not sure it's there if Little's there and Fluharty's there.
Weird long man role, but logistically, he's the minor league signing who pitched in Korea last year, who missed half a camp having a kid.
Right, and it's been an unbelievable story. Unbelievable story.
One of the best stories of the year. We asked John Schneider who his MVP was this year, and he riddled off a bunch of names and eventually gave the good politician answer of the team. Yeah. But the first name he said was Eric Lauer.
The team is the MVP.
The team MVP.
Yes,
Lauer was the first name he said. And without Eric Lauer, they are going through waiver wire arms, through 34-year-old veterans who also just pitched in Korea or Japan or Mexico out of the big leagues, and it's a mess. And they are not 4 games up on anybody right now. So Lauer, I can't say enough about what he's done this
all
year.
The flowers
he's probably getting bumped.
Yeah, and he is. And, again, at some point, either Bassett or Barrios, they're going to transition to that role as well, I think. I mean, one of them is going to go into the bullpen and do something. That's come playoff time. It's not going to happen during the season. But, so anyway, you got a month to figure that out. You got to get, I think ideally you have Hoffman, it's Dominguez, it's Varland, probably Little. Like, I think if you could pick the 4 guys, are those the 4 guys? Like, if you went to Schneider and said, I can have 4 guys that are going to be peaking on October 1st, who would they be?
If you can have Brendan Little peaking.
Yes.
If you have Brendan Little like he's pitching right now,
no, he's a mess. Yes.
When you're watching these pitches, imagine standing in the batter's box against that right now. He's got big velocity, a massive curveball, and every other pitch is in the dirt. It's wild. His stuff is so good. But looking at this bullpen, you're right. You need 3 or 4 guys, and you're going to ride them. The problem is these guys are gassed right now. Yariel Rodriguez came out throwing 92 the other day. He should be throwing 96.
Right.
But it's his 55th appearance, and he's been a swing man back and forth. I mean, guys, I'm gassed. I don't do anything. All right? These guys are out there working every day. They are gassed. They're sore. Not injured. They're sore.
Yep. A lot of baseball. And the intensity is only going to ratchet up, man.
Yes.
Like, wait until Milwaukee gets here tomorrow night. Well, that's going to have a big, big feel to it.
Also, like, wait till when they do get into the playoffs, which they're tracking that way. Like, I don't know, man. You can't necessarily think it's a guarantee that whoever starts, whether it's Bieber or Gausman, is going to go deep into a game. Scherzer, like you're going to have to maybe call on one of these guys in the 4th or 5th inning.
Yeah, you're right.
Pretty high leverage situation at that point. That's going to be the swing time in the game, and you're like, you kind of need those guys like fresh and ready to go and not feeling fatigued at that point. Doesn't take much to lose a game at that point.
What would be really poetic? Jose Barrios coming in long relief, perhaps in the 2nd inning, and winning the Blue Jays a game. In the year that everything's gone right, maybe that would be a story.
Maybe he plays the role of Kikuchi this time. Right, and he comes in when someone else is flying. But you bring up a good point about their, the way that they're built. That in the playoffs, once you get into a best of 7 in particular, although best of 5 can apply, is some guys will pitch on short rest. Yeah. Like you got this is the end of the road. You're going to do it. Will Scherzer pitch on short rest? Like
he's going to want to. He'll be asking to pitch the next day.
Okay, so there's your answer. Bieber, I don't think can.
No,
like Bieber, you can't. So you can't do that. Like you're going to get. Let's say Bieber starts game 1 and game 4, game 5, depending on off days. But like short rest, I think Gausman could give it to you. I don't think you would be looking at that. But I guess Scherzer would be the guy. Like Scherzer, if let's say he pitches game 2 and throws 85 pitches or 80 pitches, 3 days later he probably could give you 25.
Yeah, he's going to want it. He's 41. I don't know if he's pitching next season. He's
That's
probably
the thing.
going
He'll just
to,
empty the
but
tank and say, this. We were
empty it.
talking about it yesterday. Could he come back?
If
He's
you get
got
a ring,
some time.
man.
He's got some time to figure that out. But like if he's not thinking about that, he's probably going to do exactly what you said. This could be it. I'm done after this. So let's
You need
let's
me?
milk this
I
thing.
can come in. Yeah, because that is definitely a possibility. If the bullpen is leaky the way it is, and the starters are the ones that are popping, do they look to a guy to maybe close a game on short rest? Like that's an uncomfortable position to be in. But it's possible. It happens a lot in baseball. That's
especially when you
baseball.
have Max Scherzer sitting in your office, glaring you in the eye without blinking for an hour straight, telling you that he's ready.
I'm ready to go.
I want Bieber in game 1, and I want him in the clinching game. You can line that up.
Yep.
But the middle is going to be creative. I think Chris Bassett, he's made of rubber. He can do whatever.
Yes.
I think he can bounce around quite easily. Barrios is the more traditional straight line starter.
Mm-hmm.
That's tougher. But Bassett, he can do anything.
What's it like looking at Scherzer up close and personal?
Intimidating. Let me
It
tell
is,
you.
eh?
Yeah, there's an intensity. There's an incredible intensity. The Mad Max persona is real, and it's a different intimidation than, let's say, Yariel Rodriguez. When you make eye contact with those icy blues, like I know it would take a flick of the finger for him to knock me over.
Right.
But Max Scherzer, you are not just aware that he's incredibly intense. You are aware that you're in a conversation with someone who knows so much more than you. And there will be tests along the way, too. We were in a scrum last week, a couple of weeks ago on the road somewhere, and in the middle of an answer to my question, he's saying, blah, 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 and I was happy with my pitch count today. How many pitches did I throw? And I'm saying, thank God I just wrote that in a sentence in my story, and it's 96, because if I was my normal self and kind of dozing off and he caught me on that, he's probably not giving me an answer the rest of the year.
Have you ever had
you
ever had a question in the chamber? You're like, I'm going to ask him this, and then you're like, I don't know, he shot me a look, or he's got that something going on. I'm like, maybe I won't ask that.
You read the mood with him and with Chris Bassett. Chris Bassett will either be the most expansive, thoughtful interview, usually proposing a rule change or two, much like Max Scherzer, to potential commissioner candidates. But there's lots of times where I'll go down with what I think is a big, thoughtful, journalistic, flowery question. And I hear the first answer of, what went wrong tonight? My location. And I say, okay, this isn't the night, baby.
Yeah.
I'm going to back away, and I'm going to preserve this relationship for October.
Something's going to have to change here. Yeah. Make an audible on the fly.
Yeah.
All right, we got Mark Masters coming up. There's a pretty significant report about our boy Micah Parsons here.
Woo.
And what could or could not happen between now and the beginning of the season, which happens to be a week tonight with Dallas and Philly. We'll tell you about that. We'll get into it. Continue with the Jays and Brewers starting on Friday. Keegan's in here. Frankie's in here. I'm Brian Hayes. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
NFL kickoff weekend begins September 4th on TSN and CTV.
Now, back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line to the final score. Mark Masters here in a moment. The U.S. Open continuing down in New York, and Denis Shapovalov just won his most recent match.
There we go.
5 minutes ago.
All right.
Shapo's off to the third round.
Love it.
So that's good. I saw Annie Fernandez storm back and win last night.
She was doing an interview with Masters, too. Masters is everywhere, man.
He is.
You can't stop this guy.
He is everywhere.
All year he's on the Leafs beat, World Juniors beat. Then he goes back, World Juniors in the summer, U.S. Open.
Getting
National
testy in
Bank.
tennis, man. There was a battle between two women last night that were like, one was accusing the other of not being professional and being stupid or something. And then there was back and forth, and it's getting a little bit crazy, man.
It's so easy, though, in tennis for someone to get out of sorts in a stadium like that. Like, have you been to, like, you've obviously watched and been.
Sure, not to the U.S. Open.
No, but like to like a tennis match, like the National Bank or whatever. Like, you're sitting there, there's thousands of people, and you're like, it's dead quiet. And with all those people there, like, it just doesn't take much for something to throw someone off. And then you throw in the opponent that you're playing against and they're doing something. Like, I'm surprised that kind of stuff doesn't happen more often. Just there's so many.
Well, you're competitive too, right? Like, if you lose, you're so bent out of shape because you're on your own. It's a one-on-one sport. It's an individual sport. Like in golf, at least you can make the cut and, okay, you threw away a couple of strokes. It's not someone else didn't do that to you. Or your opponent can really factor into your whole psyche. Like if someone's slow playing it or
toughest
whatever.
mental sport. Tennis.
Lots of ego.
I really think it is the toughest mental sport. You're out there on your own. You could look at your coach or whoever's in your seats over there, but I don't know, man. You're fighting your own battle out there. I think it's really difficult.
Big time.
Lots of ego, lots of money, lots of people going from being the best player in their town to their country to their circuit to
Who are you on tour? You're right about looking over at like the coach and
it's like it's a box.
Yeah,
basically.
but it's too much now. I find
it's a lot.
Like, I don't recall that when I was younger watching tennis. I'm sure it was there, but now it's like constant. Every point they're looking over, they're talking, they're waving people off, they're yelling at them that I can't do this, I can't do that. I find it weird.
My pet peeve is the arms. The moment someone does this thing.
Yeah, someone it's the coach's fault that you just double faulted again.
Yeah.
How about you just stop doing that?
You got to blame something else.
Double arms. This one right here. I caught one in traffic today, and my hand went right out the window. Not a good day for me either.
As it should.
You got a double arms on the 401?
Got a double arms on the way back into the city.
Yeah.
That's disappointing.
Didn't handle it well.
Yeah, that is disappointing. But, Masters is out there at the Olympic orientation, and you see John Cooper's tan. Like, he looks 35 years old. Like, he's out there with an unbelievable tan. They all have the quarter zips on. They all look good. They're not doing anything. They're playing golf and doing some interviews and, because they're not allowed on the ice or they're not going to be on the ice. But he did say, and I don't know if he was literally tipping his hand, and I can't imagine he would be, and I wouldn't want this to be the messaging, but he basically said we're bringing back the same thing from the Four Nations. Now, he's probably talking about his staff. He's likely talking about his staff and Doug Armstrong and the coaches that are going to be there with him. But he kind of indicated, like, it went so well and we're bringing the same team, that if you're a guy who didn't make the Four Nations, what is Nick Suzuki thinking of that comment? Or if you're Tom Wilson or whatever, because it seemed, based on the way I heard it, like we kind of figured it out. It worked for us, and we're just going to carry that over to the Olympic Games.
It'd be hard to argue.
Generally, there's turnover, though. Like, usually there's 3 or 4 guys that come and go.
That's the thing, and that's the most. I think that's on the high end, 3 or 4 guys. 1 or 2, but I guess Masters is down there. All right. He should know.
Here he is, Mark Masters. Mark, do you get the impression that Four Nations team, like, they're on the team until someone knocks them off, or is Hockey Canada going to reset here to some extent?
It sure feels like the Four Nations event made an impression. Obviously, you win like that, it's going to make an impression. But, John Cooper pointed it out today. It's a 25-man roster for the Olympics, so there's going to be 2 new players regardless. So there's going to be some new blood. just by virtue of that. And then he also said, there's usually an injury or two, and you hope there's not, but you have to, have that on your, on your mind. So we'll see. There's a lot of hockey still to be played, a lot of time still to pass, but it does feel like that Four Nations, maybe if you're on that team, you got a bit of a leg up there.
Well, and now I guess this time around, they'll have a little more time before they decide or submit the roster, right? Like with the Four Nations, that had to be in at the beginning of December. That's not going to be the case now for the Olympics. Do you think that extra month makes a difference for anyone, or is it kind of just, if you're kind of penciled in by early December, you're on the team?
I think it makes a difference for some players for sure. I like for some guys from some battles. Why not? Yeah, every extra day something could change. I can't imagine like one game or one hot streak might do it, but you never know, right? A goaltender, that position, which is what Doug Armstrong today was saying is probably the most wide open or the biggest competition. Even though they only invited the three here to this camp, they've still reached out to other guys, let them know they're in the mix. But if a guy gets hot at the right time, maybe that's enough to get them on. I mean, it's going to be very interesting to watch this season. To see who can kind of put themselves in the debate and maybe seal the deal.
Yeah, I am surprised they only invited 3 goalies. That is weird to me. With all the amount of players that are there, there's so many guys there, and only 3 goalies. With Mark Masters, so it's our understanding, Mark, you caught up with Mitch Marner today.
I did.
Anything? What can you reveal to us that stuck out from your conversation with Mitch?
Yeah, you know what? I just really kind of wanted to drill down a bit on why he he spoke in Vegas at his news conference, his introduction there, like why he liked Vegas, why the Golden Knights were attractive to him. But I'm just wanted to drill down a little bit more on how he got to the point where he was ready to leave his hometown team, because I'm not sure he's really come out and address that. I mean, we've guessed, we could see, it seemed to be weighing on him certain things, but I've never heard him really articulate it. So that was kind of my thought process coming into the interview. I asked him, first of all, I said, what was, you built up all these friendships, you spent 9 seasons with the Leafs. What was the hardest goodbye? He said the phone call with Austin Matthews was very emotional. He would have preferred to do it in person, but Austin had gone back to Arizona. And then he just said, Riley, Nylander, Tavares, guys that we went through a lot together. They leaned on each other when things got tough, and those were the tough guys. And then I just said, oh, well, why? It didn't have to be tough. He could have stayed. He didn't want to give a detailed answer on that. He just said, needed a change, needed a fresh start, basically a new chapter. And then I said, well, is it because the market was tough? And he didn't want to go down there. But then as we got more into it, I think you can just tell where he was at because, his agent, Aaron Ferris, he did an interview on a podcast, 100% Hockey. And he kind of came out and said, after the season ended, police, they needed protection for Marner's house security because, stuff was getting dumped in his yard and there was even a death threat. And, Marner, I asked him about that and he got into it about how hard it was. And he's a new dad and, he doesn't like not feeling safe when he goes for a walk with his kid and he goes for a walk with his dog. And so we got into that a little bit more and he was kind of open about that and just how tough it was and how he had a mental coach for the last 3 years to try and help him tune out what was going on in the market and deal with it properly. Anyway, so that was kind of, that's kind of what popped out. And he kind of got into a little bit of how hard it was, in a way for him to deal with it, to deal with everything, and why he got to the point where, he's leaving his hometown team, which was a dream come true. Got drafted by his hometown team. This is what you live for. You grow up, you dream of being a Leaf. So how did he get to the point where he just wanted to leave?
Did he speak of the Leafs, glowingly or with disdain? Like how did he when he started speaking about the Leafs? Because some guys have a difficult time, like actually kind of releasing themselves from it because he hasn't been in Vegas yet. He hasn't played for, in his mindset, he might still be a Leaf in a way. Did he speak of it as like a distant past, or how did he relate to even, talking about the Leafs?
Well, yeah, it was, I don't know if we even, I don't know if I got a great read on that. A lot of it was just kind of rehashing stuff, and what he's gone through. It was funny at the end. I just, I thanked him. I said, it was great catching up. And he's like, oh, good to see you. And I was like, I'm not sure you missed this. He's like, yeah, I might miss you a little bit. And then he was like, yeah, the schedule makers didn't really do it right. Like when I come back to Toronto, it's a back-to-back. And I'm like, people think that that's a good thing for you. Less time in the spotlight, less time in the chaos of what Toronto's going to be like. And he was like, no, I would have preferred to have a day at home. So he's already at least contemplated that. So perhaps that's a sign that he's already thinking about that, and he's turned the page a little bit there. And we really didn't get too much into the Leafs side of it. It was more about him and his personality, but it did feel, at least in that part and how we ended it, that he was already kind of looking forward to next year.
Mark, when you were speaking with Mitch, did you get the impression that some of this reaction surprised him, or if he was braced for it? Because you see so often when an athlete leaves a place they've been for a long time, they're so far inside their day-to-day, so far inside their sport that they may not be as tuned into this stuff as we are. But did you get the sense that this caught him off guard at all? Because it seems to have affected him.
It's funny. I talked to Jeannie Bouchard when she announced her retirement, and she talked about how she was so surprised at the positivity around her announcement, with everyone saying, and it was kind of a weird thing to say, because, like, why wouldn't people be, she went to the Wimbledon final, she did a lot of great things for Canadian tennis, and she's like, I've been so beaten down by the negativity on social media that I'm so numb to it that it was a surprise that anything was positive. And it kind of feels like Mitch got to that point in Toronto. And I asked him, like, it wasn't all negative. Like, you got a lot of love. A lot of people loved you. You're fifth in franchise scoring. You had the charitable thing. There were a lot of people loved Mitch Marner and appreciated what he did. And he's like, yeah, but it was always the hate comments that you heard the most, or that got through the most. So I think he's a little bit numb to the reaction. He would have obviously contemplated, what the market would think of that. But I think he'd already gotten to a point where he said he had to have security outside his house for 2 weeks after the playoffs ended. So I don't know. I think he just got to a point where all that just kind of blurred together and was numb a little bit in terms of like now kind of turning into a villain, I guess, if you want to call it that, in the market.
Mm. Yeah, have you heard of players, maybe all of us can contribute on this, like having a mental coach to handle the noise? I've never heard of that before. You heard of that, Mark?
I hear about it in a lot of different sports. Goalies, I know, have I think more so goalies. I remember talking to Dennis Hildeby about, and he was using the same guy Jesper Bratt uses, and like just having a mental I guess it's mostly called a sports psychologist, I guess. And teams themselves have that on their staff and guys to talk to. But a player, yeah, I've heard that, but I did that was in response. He talked about that in response to the question was how much did what you're going and dealing with off the ice impact how you played on the ice? And that's when he said that I got this mental coach, and he's still a 100-point player despite obviously dealing with this, and got nominated for the Selke in recent years, and obviously we know what happened in the playoffs, but he still emerged. He was still on Team Canada. He's going to be on Canada's Olympic team. He still was able to do some incredible things despite that. But yeah, I have heard that before. I just found it interesting that he brought it up specifically when talking about the market, because obviously guys deal with pressure, but right. It can sometimes be a different type of pressure.
It's not uncommon for guys to have a mental coach or a sports psychologist, but I think it's always about on the ice, or most of the time it's about on the ice, right? And then when things that are happening off the ice bleed into performance on the ice, even though we look at it and say, well, the guy is a 102-point player, but he's probably not focused on the regular season portion. He's probably looking at it like, why am I roadblocked in a game 5 or a game 6 or a game 7? And how do I get over that? Because realistically, it's those 3 games of the last, whatever it is, 8 or 9 years that have probably caused this whole thing. Because if you looked at it from the regular season, you're like, Mitch Marner's a great player, should be a Leaf for life, should never leave. But we're so focused on a large sample size of basically 3 games towards the end of a series. And I guess my question to you, Mark, is, if the Leafs do find a way to get past Florida, is Mitch Marner still a Maple Leaf? Is he getting the death threats, or does he have to hire security or police in front of his house? And are we talking about Mitch Marner being a Leaf for life?
Yeah, in that Florida series, game 2, he scores the game-winning goal? and he's at the podium, and it just felt like a really big high moment. So I don't know. It just feels like he had gotten to the point with where the market was at. But if they win that series, I'd probably like them to beat Carolina. And then they're in the Cup. Who knows, right? It's hard to go down that road. But just certainly talking to him today, it felt like he had reached a point with where things were at the market where he was. It felt like, and you could sense it all year. Like it was. You could feel it with him and how he kind of handled certain moments that maybe he needed a fresh start. It was stale. And frankly, maybe that's just part of that is the team being stale and the core being stale, because we've talked about it ad nauseum forever. And he certainly, I'm sure, it felt like, he didn't say this, but like it felt like he was the kind of the face of it, right? Like he would take the most heat when the season ended up, even though it wasn't just him that was not coming through in those games 5, 6, and 7. But clearly he was a polarizing guy, and Austin goes to Arizona, perhaps in the immediate aftermath of the season. William can get out to Sweden, but he was really there. It never really stopped for him, is the sense I got. So, it's quite something that this guy, this hometown guy, got to this point with the Leafs.
Yeah, no kidding. I do think it was still on both sides. It's in the best interest for this to play out this way. Like someone had to go. It's Mitch. Leafs move on. He moves on. As for the Olympic orientation, you're out there. This McDavid story, we talked about it a lot yesterday. Is there deja vu for you, like in terms of the way Marner handled things last year? Do you see any connection there? Like, what is your read on McDavid's approach to his contract and how much of a story that is out there at the Olympic orientation camp?
Oh, it's the story. It was the story yesterday for sure. For him, the difference is like it's not the market. The market's fine. It's does he believe that this Oilers team is going to be a contender for whatever the next contract's going to be? Whereas with Mitch, there's a lot of stuff in like just the market. But does he look at Mitch and say, well, Mitch Marner just went through a contract year in the biggest market with all the glare, and he had 100 points, and the team won the division, and they want to it didn't have to be like it wasn't. It came up, of course, at the deadline, but even if Connor McDavid he goes into this year without a contract, they're not going to. I can't imagine they're going to trade him at the deadline, or even look into that. I guess weirder things have happened, but there is a difference there. I feel like it was funny. Like I was waiting on a day like today where there's a schedule and there's 10-minute blocks. And so I was waiting outside the room where I was going to interview Mitch. And just in case it started earlier, I flip-flopped. And he was doing a joint interview with Zach Hyman. And they came out and he saw I had the U.S. Open on my laptop. I just had it on. I was keeping an eye on it. And he's like, oh, you're watching tennis? And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of a passion project for me. He's like, not hockey? So he's like, hockey is his passion, right? Like he can't, why wouldn't it be my passion? Why wouldn't it be? So he's focused. That's his passion. He wants to win. He's all in on hockey, even like in this moment right now. So that's what he's focused on. And it's up to the Oilers to prove it. If they do whatever they can, I guess, to show him that in this next contract they can win. But that's kind of where it's at with McDavid. But that's a fascinating thing too, because obviously, he didn't seem to be in a big hurry yesterday when he talked, and our Ryan Rashog was asking him those questions.
Yeah, he's relaxed, man. He's the best player in the world, and he's got his feet up, and it's all good. All right, Mark, we'll leave it there. How about Shapo winning today off to the third round of the U.S. Open?
Huge. He's going to play center next. Oof, so I'm just excited.
Good luck.
So good luck, but at least you get the moment. You're going to play on Arthur Ashe against world number one. Mm-hmm. You're supposed to lose, no pressure. Dennis, when he plays at his best, when he redlines, he can play at a very high level. Consistency has always been the problem, but good for him. He needed this. He hadn't won since he won the title in Los Cabos. And I'm just watching Leila Annie Fernandez playing doubles with Venus Williams.
Yeah,
and they're about to upset the number 6 seed. And it's just cool. I know doubles doesn't get a lot of attention, but I just find this could be the last time we see Venus Williams play tennis. Like, who knows? She's probably not going to play the rest of this year. She's 45, and, she's playing with a Canadian, and she's only twice played with someone in doubles that isn't her sister, Coco Gauff and now Leila Fernandez, and they're about to knock out the number 6 seed. It got moved to the second biggest court at the U.S. Open, Armstrong, and there's a huge crowd that's loving it. So that's pretty cool for Canada. It's funny. We all were focused on Vicky Mboko, right?
Yeah.
Going in, and she loses, but it's almost like she kind of sparked a bit of Canadian tennis and got everyone else revved up. And
right.
Layla's going to play the world number one on the women's side tomorrow night, and Shapo's going to play the world number one on the men's side. So it's been a fun U.S. Open for Canada.
Love it. All right, we'll see how it goes the rest of the way. Thank you, Mark.
Thanks, guys.
Mark Masters. Yeah, that's going to be tough. Trying to knock off Sinner and Sabalenka, and that's going to be trouble.
Yeah,
probably for the Canadians, but still, we'll see what happens.
Okay,
it's a long tournament.
Like Mark said, you get your moment, big stage, pretty cool.
Yes,
U.S. Open,
absolutely. So Marner speaking with Masters, and I don't know if we're ever going to get like Mitch is not a guy that generally opens up well to the media.
No.
He's not Mr. Interview in terms of depth and all that. He's going to do his thing and go on, and I don't know if we'll get ever like a complete detail of his time here and why he left, when he decided he had to leave, why he chose Vegas, all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. He's out. And the Leafs will move on, and Marner will move on. And he's right. He comes into town on a back-to-back, which is ridiculous. And I'm not sure I'm buying that he really wanted to be here and deal with everything for the day, but we'll see.
Maybe just to say, listen, we're getting closure on this thing. Let's have our day.
And his family's here, and his wife's family and all that.
And maybe now he doesn't get that, and it lingers into next year. It's like, oh, God, now I got to go back and do the whole media tour next year.
That's a valid point. Like, maybe it's better just to get it done with, be here, do everything, and that's it. And eventually he'll just blend in as Vegas Golden Knight Mitch Marner.
Yep.
And what'll be interesting is if he plays the 8 years there, he played 9 in Toronto, 8 there. He'll likely play beyond that in his career, I would think. But is he known at the end as a Maple Leaf, or is he known as a Golden Knight? I don't know. It probably depends on how they play in Vegas.
They win a cup.
And if he stays there the whole time.
Yeah. If they win a cup, he's a Golden Knight.
Yeah, for sure. Steve Phillips in 15 minutes. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on the TSN app. All right, Steve Phillips in 10 minutes. Jay's off tonight. The Brewers in town. Milwaukee Brewers, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. What a weekend it's going to be. Looks like the weather's going to be pretty good. Dome should be open. Dome, they've kind of been opening and closing at different times during the games.
A lot of mid-gamers in there. I don't mind it. I'm a dome open guy. Give me the breeze. Life is good.
Big time.
But, it needs to be over. There's a magic temperature point of some sort. And lots of science involved in this.
Yes.
My press box seat is actually like 10 feet from the dome control room.
Really?
One of these days, I'm just going to snap and take over.
You gotta get in there.
Yeah.
Just walk like you belong in there. You're wearing a suit. You look good. No one will question.
Wear a suit. Be confident.
Yeah.
You can get a lot of places in that stadium.
Absolutely. So Phillips on that, and Micah Parsons and the Cowboys. According to Adam Schefter and others, the Cowboys are willing to listen on trades now. Willing to listen. Always one of my favorites.
Can't believe we've gotten
All right, we'll listen to you.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is where we're at. A week away from opening night. Cowboys-Eagles next Thursday in Philly. So we'll touch on that into the next hour as well. Overdrive continues, TSN 1050 and on the TSN app.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Hour 2 OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line of the final score. Brian Hayes, Keegan Matheson, Frankie Corrado. We got Steve Phillips coming up here in a moment. Get to an NFL draft a little bit later this hour.
You want to do our own little draft? What are we going to do?
Yeah, I think based on like MVP predictions, how we see this going on. So a lot of quarterbacks.
Right. Going to be all quarterback.
Likely all quarterbacks. Maybe a running back or two. Maybe a wideout or two. Maybe a pass rusher or two.
You going to do that?
Maybe Micah Parsons. Maybe he could be, if he gets traded between now and the draft in a half an hour.
We can sprinkle a non-quarterback.
Yeah,
been a while. I think 2012, Adrian Peterson, and then before that, it's LT.
Been
a minute.
That's right.
The best quarterback.
Sean Alexander might have won one year.
Alexander, yeah.
He did.
You know what's crazy about this whole Micah Parsons thing is I don't think there's anyone who would argue that this guy is not a stud and, like, if not the best, if not one of the best players at his position.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no one would argue that. So how is this something that has lingered to this point?
Well,
it's bananas, man. Like, it's absolutely crazy.
The answer
Certified
is
stud.
Obvious. It's Jerry Jones and it's Dallas. I mean, it's not overly complicated.
But why does it have to be that way?
Well, it shouldn't be, but I don't have an answer for you. I guess because that's the way Jones operates.
Yeah.
He's an old man now that is stubborn, and he's claiming. Do you have some news for us?
From Adam Schefter, ESPN sources, Cowboys are trading 3-time All-Pro Micah Parsons.
Get out of here, dude.
To the Green Bay Packers.
Come on.
Is that real or is that fake?
Wow.
That's a real tweet.
Oh, my God.
Wow.
That is Schefter's actual account.
Parsons and the Packers have already reached agreements.
Picture of Hayes here.
Let's go. 4-year, $188 million. What a day, baby.
He's a big Packer fan, too, man.
Wow.
Wow. I cannot believe this.
Oh, man.
That's my first pick right there. First pick of the MVP.
Wow.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah. The phone's rolling.
Oh, my God. All right. So let's read this out. Read that out again for me, because I honestly was worried. I'm sitting here thinking you're getting duped. Like, I'm thinking this is a Schefter parody account, because this has happened. So an hour ago, there was a report they're willing to listen, and now this has happened. Micah Parsons is a Green Bay Packer. Okay, what is the deal? Do we have details on this?
Parsons and the Packers. This is from Adam Schefter on Twitter. Parsons and the Packers have reached agreement on a 4-year, $188 million contract. The agents are thanked. $120 million fully guaranteed. If we could get some champagne in the studio, maybe.
All records for non-quarterbacks. So that means he's getting more than Myles Garrett, more than T.J. Watt. Now, he's going into his 5th year, so I think it's reasonable to pay that amount of money. Now, we'll find out the details. It's got to be, I would think, multiple first-round picks, which this is somewhat uncomfortable for the Packers because of the way that they generally operate, right? Publicly owned team, they're generally very conservative. They built through the draft. They just had the draft in Green Bay in the spring, where they actually did something they never do. They took Matthew Golden, the wide receiver, in the first round, something they never do. But this got Reggie White flashbacks to it, man. That's what this is. This is Reggie White flashbacks back in the 90s. Now, at that time, they had Favre. Jordan Love is not Brett Favre. That time, they had Mike Holmgren. I don't know if Matt LaFleur is Mike Holmgren. But Reggie came in and changed the whole complexion of that team. They went to 2 Super Bowls. They won one. I could not be more jacked up.
This is such a
Micah
Packers
Parsons
move.
to the Packers.
The Packers do not do this often, but when they do it, my God, they do it. And it wasn't the same headlines at that time, but you go back to Charles Woodson. There was some reclamation involved in there, but he changed that entire defense.
Wow.
They tried a big swing with Julius Peppers years back.
You're right.
But this is one of the small handful of players in the National Football League, not a quarterback, who can win you a game. There's not many of those. This isn't the NBA where one guy can hold onto the ball and decide a game. He can win you a football game.
Well, the Packers have been the youngest team in the NFL, and we'll get to the Cowboys side of this in a moment, because that's even more compelling. Like, admittedly, there's some bias here. Keegan and I are super fans for the Packers.
I actually signed off on this on the break.
Yes, good.
Ownership sign off. That's what I was doing.
Okay, good. I'm glad you had to vote on that.
Yeah. Yes, I am. It's very real, and it matters.
And Joe Bowen, the Bowen family.
There we go.
There you go. Matheson Estates and Bowen Estates. They had to personally vote on this. So you got a scenario here for the Packers. They've been the youngest team in the league the last 2 years. I believe they're still technically the youngest or real close to it. Parsons is young, though. That's the whole point. Do they keep Rashawn Gary? We'll see. If Gary might be going the other way to make the money work because it's so much money, and it's going to clearly have a ripple effect on what they're doing with the rest of their salary cap. If you can keep Gary for a year, I don't know if you can keep both of them long term, but that is a really potent pass rush and front line, front seven. All of a sudden, their corners are young. Alexander's moved on. He's in Baltimore. I'm just kind of running through their defense. But what this does, if you're in Green Bay, this puts pressure on Jordan Love now. They paid you. Now they got you a stud on the defensive side of the ball. Pass rush has been an issue for them for a while. You gotta perform now.
Yeah.
Like, you got to stay healthy. You got to perform. This is a shot to the Lions, who thought we're the big boys now in the NFC North.
Same with the Vikings.
Yes.
Right? Like,
Chicago's trying to build up. Chicago's trying to build up. They got Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams going into his second year. This is the Packers who have owned this division for 30 years, saying we're not giving up anything. Now, conversely, for the Cowboys, I'm shocked that Jones would do this because of where he is, in terms of he's 82 years old.
In the world.
Yes, exactly. Presumably you're bringing back picks and you're resetting your team now. You have a rookie head coach. You got Dak coming back from injury, who you've paid. You've paid CeeDee Lamb. Is this like a Herschel Walker scenario where, remember when he bought the team, They got Walker, they traded him for all those pieces, and then next thing you know, a couple years later, they're in Super Bowl contention. Is that his plan? Or is this just purely stubborn? Is it purely stubborn
ego.
where he's
just ego, 100% ego?
We agreed to a deal. You reneged. You're out of here. You're not going to be a
The
Cowboy
old man doesn't
anymore.
want to lose.
You're right, though, about Jerry Jones and his age. Like, why wouldn't you just say, I got good players, I got studs, I'm going to add as much as I possibly can and try and win a Super Bowl? Like, what are you going to – you're going to bring back a ton of picks. And by the way, the return – for you to make that trade within the NFC, don't you think that return is going to have to be massive? Or why wouldn't you might try and make a trade with someone in the AFC?
Well, I guess
why wouldn't you try and get it out of conference?
It's a very good question. I mean, the Packers, there have been rumors coming out of Green Bay for the last 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
And it started with feeling like it was a troll job, and then I think John Kuhn, maybe, who was a former fullback for the team, who might be still working for the Packers. Great, old school, put your head down.
If you needed 2.7 yards, baby, he could get it.
This
no
has
one
become
could give
a
it to you like him.
Podcast.
Yes, it has.
It has.
I've been waiting for the moment.
But I was going into this very reserved because I didn't think Dallas would give him up. And then when you consider the conservative nature of the Packers and their front office, this is a lot. You're paying them more money than anyone else has ever been paid that's not a quarterback. And again, we don't know the details on what's going back to Dallas. But, you raise a valid point, an interesting point about where is the ideal landing place. It may not matter if this is Dallas saying we're not winning for 2 or 3 years. Like, clearly, if you're moving off a 26-year-old all-pro superstar stud, how can you sit here and think you're winning anything this year?
And these picks really matter. Like, we've got a report here from Matt Schneidman, who does a great job covering the Packers for The Athletic. Source, the Packers are trading at least 2 first-rounders to the Cowboys, as you would expect.
Yes.
My first thought about this is that if you're the Cowboys, you are probably getting back a couple of picks from Green Bay that will be 20th, 24th, 27th.
Mm-hmm.
That's not going to get you a superstar.
Right.
You are not trading him to the Jags or to the Browns or to the Colts and getting back a number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pick. You're going to be hoping. You're going to be going after quantity here. You might get some players. You might strike gold, but you're not getting that immediate star.
Dude,
this is stunning.
This is a fumble of all fumbles by the Dallas Cowboys. I don't care. You spent all the money on Zeke and Dak and CeeDee Lamb, and now you're not going to spend the money on Micah Parsons, who's an absolute stud. No one's going to argue that. You trade him within the conference. Like the picks, like you're talking about, they're not going to help you in the immediate future. It makes no sense. It's absolutely laughable that this is where the Dallas Cowboys have gone with this thing.
Yeah.
Never should have gotten to this point.
Well, this is the Jerry Jones legacy now, right?
And if I may read these 6 beautiful words from Micah Parsons. Thank you, Dallas. 5 dots. Go, Pack, go.
Go, Pack, go.
A cheese emoji.
Go, Pack, go.
Roll out the barrel,
Yeah.
says Micah Parsons.
Wow. This is it's amazing that it's Dallas. And again, a week tonight, the NFL starts in Philly. And I want to see where the line goes. Track that on FanDuel because I'll bet you it's shooting through the roof now.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be Eagles by 8.5, 9.5, maybe a double-digit spread because I think they're holding on to that line to see, what was going to happen with Parsons. And the Packers, did they play Detroit or Chicago week 1? It's one of those 2 teams. and it's like a 425 game, and I want to say it's at Lambeau. So there it is. Highest paid non-quarterbacks in NFL history. Parsons, $47 million. T.J. Watt, $40. Jamar Chase, $40.25. Myles Garrett, $40. So Watt and Garrett are the comparables, and they just got signed in the last 6 months.
Yeah.
And he is blown past
That's
them.
not by a little bit, because the NFL is the official league of highest paid left guard, highest paid center.
Yes.
And it creeps up by $500K a year every year.
Wow.
That is a feather in the cap of an agent to say highest paid blank.
Right.
This blows it out of the water.
Yes,
this
it
is
does.
not just sneaking past to make everyone happy with some fancy numbers. This is blowing it away.
But
Which surprises me a little bit, because like Watt and Garrett are so good, and they're in their prime, and they were reaching free agency. But Parsons is, I think, as good or close to it, and he's younger.
Yeah, but
So I thought he'd get a little bit less than them, but
even if Parsons, if you went to him, if you're Jerry Jones and you said, we're going to give you $42 million a year or 41 and tie TJ Watt, he's probably taken that to stay with Dallas. Like, he released a statement just now. It was all ready to go. And it's like, I never wanted to be anything but a Dallas Cowboy. Loved the team growing up. And it's like, you kind of just had to meet him at something that was like market value, and Green Bay's willing to go way above it.
I mean, this would suggest that's probably what he was looking for the whole time, was you have to make me the highest paid player, highest paid non-quarterback ever.
Yeah.
Like, that was probably the line, and Jerry Jones obviously felt uncomfortable with that. It's just such a weird line to draw in the sand. I get that everything's a negotiation. Every single dollar counts. I understand that. But with Dak, eventually just gave him more than anybody else. And that's Dak.
That's Dak Prescott.
He's not in the same category at his position of Micah Parsons as a pass rusher.
Jerry Jones waits and waits and waits, and he gets terrible value. For a businessman, not very businesslike.
No, not very businesslike.
Wow.
So, yeah, Micah Parsons, a Green Bay Packer.
You talked about that week one for the Packers. It's versus the Lions at Lambeau. And I have a feeling that's going to be a little bit of a statement game for the Packers about, like, everyone's been talking about the Lions the last couple of years, and rightfully so. They've been a very exciting team offensively. They've got some pieces that really kind of move the needle. But in that division, to have a, primetime, call it 425 game where you just kind of lay it to them at Lambeau with Parsons there,
who's
that's
calling
a bit
that
of
game?
a statement.
That would be Tom Brady, I believe, that'll be calling that game. That's usually the Fox window, 425. TB12, and he'll be right in there calling that game, I would presume, anyway. If not, then it would be if it's a CBS.
It's
okay, so then
it's
that's Romo and Nance. It's a CBS
It's
game.
going to be Romo.
Okay.
Which I think is actually better.
That it's a Cowboy.
I think
Cowboy quarterback.
And
that is
Romo
great. You're right.
specifically.
He's going to have the magic pen out all over that screen. Baby.
I think, he'll add a lot. I actually, if it was Aikman, it would be great. But, it's going to be crazy, man. That's wild.
Yeah. Bill Barnwell tweeting out how the Packers GM works over the last 30 years. Get that next quarterback a little earlier than your current quarterback would want. That's kind of what happened. Like, I guess with Favre, too, when he arrived, there was a veteran on, and it was like, what's going on here? And then obviously Rodgers, and then into Love. And then when a defensive Hall of Famer is underappreciated by his old team, hits the market, you go get him. They did that with Reggie White. Charles Woodson's a great example. Like, Woodson won a Super Bowl in 11 with them.
Yeah.
It was a huge part of that defense, and he was available, and they said, fine, we'll take you. And now Parsons is the next guy.
Let me ask you this. Let me just take the other side of things and say, what if Jerry Jones is actually playing like 3D chess with everyone, and Micah Parsons' back isn't as good as people might think, and he's trying to get ahead of it? Is there any thought to that?
I guess it's possible that he might look that way. My impression of that play was Parsons was thinking, okay, I'm going to find a way to continue to get paid here.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I'm going to file a grievance while I'm actually injured. I'm not holding out from games. I'm injured. And that was kind of the play. And clearly what's been going on between both parties is they've been playing a game. They're playing poker. This deal did not happen 2 hours ago. It's probably been in the hopper for a while. That's another weird thing. Like, he's going to get his back checked out. He might have been going to get a physical in Green Bay, or going to get a physical at a third party, whatever it is, to make sure that everything's all good.
So let's say he got that, and all of a sudden, like, second opinion physical didn't pass it. Jerry's like,
wow,
we'll make the trade.
Well, if you don't pass it, though, then you can't trade him. That's the thing. Like, you're going to go through your own physical of your Green Bay, and it would, basically end the deal. Like if the guy's injured or is about to have significant surgery or something like that.
We're all laughing at Jerry Jones, and probably rightfully so. But there's like if you had to give a mini Jerry's of what's the percentage that
he knows what he's doing and he made the right decision,
and he's playing 3D chess.
I think it's 20%. I could not have less faith in Jerry Jones. Like, even if he stumbles into something miraculously right here, he didn't intend it to work out that way.
Mess it up.
Yeah, the latest guys that we have here, more Adam Schefter. Sources trade package includes 2 firsts, which we knew, and a frontline player. So drip, 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 it comes out. We'll see who that is.
Frontline player. I'll bet you it's Rashawn Gary.
And from Diana Rossini, Kenny Clark.
Kenny Clark's going the other way. Okay, that's a plug in the middle of your line.
Real player.
Yeah, that's interesting. All right, so Kenny Clark and 2 first-rounders going to Dallas for Micah Parsons. Here's our boy Luke Wilson. Luke, what surprises you more, that Dallas would actually trade Parsons or that the Packers would be the one to go get him?
Dallas trading him probably. But to be honest with you, I don't feel like usually when there's a blockbuster trade here, I'm like, oh, like one side won this thing. I don't really feel good about this. And Hayes, I know you're a Packers guy, and I'll have my reasoning. I obviously love Mike. I think he's a tremendous player. But right now, I'm leaning towards if I had to pick who won this one, and we'll see. So it sounds like it's Kenny Clark.
Kenny Clark and 2 first-rounders.
Say Dallas.
You're kidding me. Based on what?
Okay, Hayes, hear me out on this. First off, when we got to see, a lot of times these numbers get crazily over-reported. We don't actually know the contract. Okay, so what will happen depends who leaked, whoever the leak is, if it's the agent side, they'll juice the numbers, be like, look at the deal that I signed.
Right.
So I look at the Packers right now, and I say, so you've got Love, who's making, he had I guess a signing bonus of 75. His annual salary is $55 million a year. Jordan Love here, which is a great signing. I'm not saying that. But now you have Micah as well. Is the average 44?
Yeah, it's higher, 47 maybe, yeah.
So we've got $100 million tied up in 2 guys, okay? And I get they're stars. I get that, Hayes. But now let's keep going here. Right now, and I think that division is sick. I have a lot of praise for the NFC North. I have a lot of praise for it, okay? But right now, the top dog in the NFC North until they're dethroned is the Detroit Lions. And you know what the Detroit Lions have? Even though Ragnow retired, they got a phenomenal offensive line, and they got 2 running backs that are absolute stars. I think Montgomery gets overshadowed because Jahmyr Gibbs is that good. He's one of the best backs in the league, in my opinion.
Yes, he is.
And you get a guy in here, Micah Parsons, who is not great against the run. So why I say, and he's a tremendous, maybe, top 3 pass rushers in the league. You can say he's number 1. I put Myles Garrett up there, T.J. Watt's up there. There's a couple other guys that are in the combo, obviously, but Micah's right there. But Micah Parsons is not known as a very dominant run defender. I'm not saying he's bad, but he's nowhere near the prowess he has as a pass rusher. So now all of a sudden I'm sitting here and I'm like, dude, you got to get a guy on the field that's got to help stop Gibbs and Montgomery. And is Micah that guy? For $47 million? I don't. And you've already tied up 55 in a quarterback? And then the last thing I'll say, I like the Packers. And to be honest with you, as you guys know, I would prefer that Minnesota or Green Bay wins that division as a personal thing.
Right.
But my last thing here is also, I always revert back to the year that we won in Seattle. Okay, and we did have a ton of stars, Hayes. But the thing about it was a lot of those stars were on rookie deals. Sherman was young. Cam Chancellor was young. Earl was younger. Russ obviously was on a rookie deal. And what I felt hurt us later on, we were still a very good team, but when it came time to get those guys paid, the veteran guys of Max Unger, Red Bryant, maybe not the household name, Brandon Mebane, the guys that were tremendous players but maybe not all pros, but were kind of the backbone of the team, we had to replace with rookies. So, again, I don't hate the move for Green Bay. You obviously got an absolute star in Micah, but I think there's going to be a lot of questions on this. And I haven't even gotten to the fact that this is the same guy that was lying down on a medical table not paying attention to his teammates 2 weeks ago. like, I don't love it as much for Green Bay as I think maybe the sticker shock has for a lot of Packers fans right now. I'm sorry, Packers fans,
Yeah.
listen, I don't mean to burst your bubble, but I don't love it.
Oh, I do. I love it. And listen, a lot of it is historical. I understand. But and every era is different. Every player is different. The cap's different. But they went out and got Reggie White back in the 90s. We saw what happened. They went out and got Charles Woodson. I hear you. Reggie's one of the 2 or 3 best defensive. Listen, he plays a similar position. Does he not pass rush? Like, Reggie's the king. Reggie's the king. I get it.
Frankie, stop this guy.
Reggie's the king.
He's too happy right now, man.
But Parsons is like, look at the numbers, okay? We've seen these tweets out there a bunch, but the defense, like statistical defense, when Parsons is on the line, is on the field compared to when he's not in Dallas, it was outrageous. And he's 26 years old. Yes, you're paying him a lot, but you're paying for his prime. You're not paying a guy who's 30, 31, 32, and you've paid Jordan Love, who's also the same age. So if you're going to spend money, I'd want it on a 26-year-old quarterback and a 26-year-old pass rusher. They're not spending it on a running back in a tight end or something. It's your quarterback and your pass rusher. That's where the money should be going. So I actually think it's appropriate. I get it's a ton of money, and you got to pay the piper to get him. Clark, they were going to walk after this year anyway. His deal was up. He's getting up there in 8. There's your interior lineman, though, that is going to try to stop Gibbs or Montgomery or whatever, and he's going the other way. But you still have Rashawn Gary. So you have Gary on one side, and you got Parsons on the other. That's lethal, man. That's nasty.
Dynamic edge rush. Listen, Hayes, I'm not disagreeing with you on any of those points minus the Reggie White comparison.
Yes, I know.
I agree with all of that.
Right.
Okay, I agree with all of that. We'll see how it plays out. Again, I get the Kenny Clark thing from a business side, but let's not also, like, 2 first-round picks is potentially a lot of value. Depends on your GM. For Jerry Jones, he'll probably butcher it. But
yes.
that's also a lot of value.
It is. It is for sure. But it should be for a guy like that.
Said, he's a 26-year-old. I just hope that Micah comes with a very, very good attitude. I think if you're a Packers fan right now, that'll tip the scale where you're feeling good. Because, between some of the comments he made last year about Mike McCarthy, some of the things he said on his podcast, some of the behavior, and I get that he's frustrated. I don't think this is stretched by saying how he was acting in the preseason was unprofessional. Okay, and I'm a guy who likes to push the envelope of being unprofessional at times. But this crossed the line.
Yeah.
I just hope that if you're a Packers guy now, Hayes, what I think you'd like to see is a guy that has really bought into that. Because in my opinion, and obviously I'm partial to the Seahawks, but Green Bay is the coolest franchise in the league. Everything about it, where the stadium is, the history of Lambeau, the fact that it's in Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Yeah.
There's so much history there. There's just a lot of unique things. It's a pretty special situation to be in. Not that I've played for the Packers, but I've been to Lambeau and played there many times. There's a lot of things that are cool about that place, and I just hope that he embraces that and really plays hard for that area.
Luke, let's be really short-sighted here, like 2026 and 2027, these next couple of years. Before we know what those picks are going to be, what do you think this does for the Packers in the NFC North? I know it's one hell of a division, but if they get the best version of Micah Parsons, he's engaged, he's upright on the sideline, everything's good, everything's happy. What do you think this does to the North, to the NFC picture, where it's wide open in the NFC?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. To me, at the moment, I would put them for me as their favorites of the NFC North. If everything you said, hypothetically, and the reason being is I do think that there's going to be a transition in Detroit. I still think Detroit will be a phenomenal team either way, but losing Ben Johnson, you'll feel that a bit. But I also think losing Frank Ragnow, you'll feel that as well. Like, that's just not a guy you can easily replace. And then Minnesota, the season to me is very dependent on J.J. McCarthy. And I'll tell you right now, J.J. McCarthy, if Micah is humming off the edge and Rashawn Gary is humming off the other edge,
good luck, dude.
For anyone, let alone a guy who hasn't played very many snaps in the NFL.
Nightmare fuel.
So I would definitely push, the narrative that they are the team, to beat, so to speak. They were very good last year. They had a lot of good wins. But that division, it's very tight, guys. I said this last year. Even with the Bears, I'm not expecting the Bears to win that division, but their roster is low-key loaded as well. If you were to ask me, I know a lot of people think AFC North. If you were to ask me the best division in football, it's no question. It's that NFC North.
Totally agree.
No question for me.
If you kind of look at this from a Cowboys point of view, like what are your big takeaways here from the team point of view? Like if Micah Parsons was acting, I don't know, if he was acting out of line, okay, guys would probably look at that and say, okay, man, see you later. Like, well, don't let the door hit you on the way out. But you think there's guys in that locker room that look at it and say, well, now we're not any closer to winning? Like, where are the Dallas Cowboys in winning today?
Yes and no. So what I'd say about Dallas right now is I do think the combo of CeeDee Lamb and Pickens is going to be ridiculous. But defensively, it's one of those things where I'm like, I guess, how should I say this? Like, you look at that division, if you're being honest with yourself, are they in the same class as Philadelphia? No. Are they on route to, be a juggernaut with Washington? I would say no. So, like, I'm not a Jerry Jones guy. I don't want to come off as a Jerry Jones guy, but I don't hate this move. And what I'll say from, like, a player's perspective, and I haven't run into anything, to this exact degree, but I have been in some situations where when superstars like Micah, they have issues with, the front office, everybody supports them, everybody on the team, in the locker room, I should say. Mm-hmm. We'll always side with our guys then. But when I saw the whole, like, not paying attention in a preseason game and laying on the table, kind of acting like a kid, that's a tough one for me as an ex-player. And the reason being is, when you're a guy who's a lock to make the team and you're playing in preseason, there are a ton of guys in your roster that are fighting for their lives, and not just their hopes and dreams as an athlete, but it goes beyond what's on the field, especially in that league. There's so much pressure from families and situations. Everyone comes from a different spot. And it's like, I always remember sitting like, yeah, you're having fun on the sideline in the fourth quarter of a preseason game, but you're like supporting the guys that have been grinding all offseason that are fighting tooth and nail to make that last spot. And to have a guy be like, oh, man, I'm just utterly disrespecting this. All of a sudden, instead of talking about, hey, some third-string rookie or couple veteran guy that's barely got a sniff who made a big play, all the media is talking about you sitting on the bench. Like, that is going to really sit poorly with a lot of guys in that locker room, whether they'll say that or not. So I think that when you get to that point where, as a player, you're so frustrated that you don't even give a damn about your own teammates, it's probably a good time to be like, all right, man, let's get this guy out of here and move on.
Yeah, that might have been a misstep by him, but I'm willing to overlook it now that he's in Green Bay. But, it wasn't the best look for him, admittedly. But, I mean, obviously it reached a point where both sides realized this wasn't going to work, and Parsons maybe decided, you're just not going to pay me, and I know you're not going to pay me, so I have to find a way to get out. And it was silly and childish and stupid, but ultimately now that he's gone, Kenny Clark's a good player, and he'll step in and play on the line. I'm a little bit surprised that's the guy off the roster that they wanted or that they took, but they did. 2 first-rounders and a defensive tackle who's 29, longest-serving Packer, I believe. But I just don't see how they're going to win this year in Dallas. And I'm not sure they were going to win with Parsons. I didn't have a lot of faith in them anyway. But they're clearly a worse team, clearly. Like, regardless of everything he was doing.
Yeah, defensively.
Yeah, like, significantly
I do think that their offense is like, it depends on Dak. Like, if Dak, which is, I'm not the biggest Dak guy, and I don't want to say I hate the guy, but if Dak plays like the contract they gave him, this team will win games. Again, like, with CeeDee Lamb and Pickens, and that's another huge question mark in Pickens and how he's going to behave and how he's going to act. But, like, that's as dynamic of a wide receiver duo as it gets. And theoretically, on paper, you got a $60 million quarterback throwing the football. So, like, I don't think they're going to be garbage offensively. But I don't know. It becomes a bit of a lot of question marks, and that's generally not a good thing.
Well, and especially with the guy at the wheel being Jerry Jones. Like, if
totally.
Put it this way, if the shoe was on the other foot, you'd look at the Packers and say they know something. Like, they saw something, they made a decision, I'm going to have faith in the way that they run their organization. Because it's Dallas and Jerry, you're never going to give them the benefit of the doubt. That like maybe this does work out right, but no one sees that happening because Jerry Jones is the guy at the helm. And if it's true that the reason he decided to ultimately make this deal is because he thought he had a handshake deal with Parsons 3 months ago and wouldn't move off that, that's just buffoonery. Like, that's all that is.
That's not how this works.
It's buffoonery.
And
yeah.
you wouldn't be surprised if that's actually the truth.
That
exactly.
Based on reporting, it sounds like it is. He's like, I'm not making you another offer because we agreed to something 3 months ago or whatever. And meanwhile, you're in the position you're in, and if you're a Cowboy fan,
I'll
you're
also
rallying.
say, totally, it's a very tough situation as well with, for a new head coach in Schottenheimer.
Yes.
And Schotty was my OC in Seattle for 2 seasons. Like, I know the man very well. And, like, I just don't know. Like, again, you kind of go in there, and Schotty's obviously comes from a football family with his dad, and he's a good football mind. But, like, I never really knew him to be like a let's put it, a manager of emotions, That's not really his, like when I was coached by him, and obviously it was, I think, 2019, 2020, he was only our OC, but it's like he was not like a super emotional guy, if that makes sense.
Right.
He was very kind of to the point. And it's just like you get thrown into Dallas, and it feels like we're talking about anything but the actual football team. And that's not a good thing for a new coach. Like, he needs to be all hands on deck as well, and like how to win ball games, and he's got to deal with all this nonsense.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's just not a good thing. I don't know what else to say.
Well, and people are tweeting now. Insiders are, talking to high-profile executives. Jordan Schultz tweeting and saying, "Why didn't they do this in March and get this year's draft picks and get out in front? Like, if you're going to move off them, why not make that decision a while ago?"
How would you have known? You thought you were going to get a deal done. If you truly had a handshake agreement at one point, you're like, well, this thing's getting done.
Yeah, I guess so.
This is the aftermath of a negotiation gone terribly wrong, with probably so many more twists and turns than we think.
Yeah, and what'll be interesting, the reporting is going to come out on what other teams were calling and what other teams were putting offers in front of them. And the Packers get a Micah Parsons, a Green Bay Packer, at huge money. Packers in Dallas, Sunday Night Football, Week 4. What a night that's going to be, man. What a night. Parsons going back to Dallas at like the end of September, a month from now.
Under 3.5 sacks.
Oh,
that night.
Just
me over.
He is rushing max effort every single time. I don't care if the Packers are up 55-3.
He's going to sack
on
Jerry
the field.
Jones.
All out
He's going to
blitz.
go up to the suite and sack Jerry.
He might Lawrence Taylor and just go back to the sideline and go, I didn't even know the play. I just said I'm running after this cat, and this is the way it's going to go. And I love it. I love it, man. All right, Luke. Go ahead, buddy.
Yeah,
Final
another
thoughts.
one you got to think about, too, Quay Walker's, like, this Packers team is loaded.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to be very good.
I agree. They're young.
Exciting.
I mean, they're really young. That one thing I will say, like, Gutekunst is starting to take a little bit of heat of, like, we get it. You got the youngest team. Like, at some point, you got to add some age. Now, technically, they're younger. Clark's 29.
Yeah, you can't have the youngest team for 4
every
years in
single
a row.
year.
But
Like,
you put this on top of McKinney and Cooper and Hobbs, and you've got pieces.
Yeah. And you know what? The pressure, yes, it's on Parsons, but really it's on Jordan Love now, too.
Yes,
like, if you got a defense that's legit now and you got weapons, Matthew Golden, apparently, is having a great camp. We'll see. Jacobs had a great year last year. You got a couple of tight ends that are good, a decent veteran O-line. Love has got to cook this year, man. He's got to.
Got to.
Yeah,
Totally.
big time. All right, pal. Thanks for jumping in. We appreciate it.
Of course. Talk soon.
Yep, you got it.
Season's coming, hey.
Season's coming, man. We're on the clock next Thursday. You know we're hammering the Eagles, too. You know it. I don't care what that number is.
Come on.
Hammering the Eagles next Thursday. All right, buddy. We'll do it soon. There he is.
Talk soon.
Luke Wilson, our TSN football analyst. Micah Parsons traded from the Cowboys to the Green Bay Packers. Breaking news this hour. What a scene.
That was electric.
We got college football tonight. Like, they're already, I think Boise State's playing tonight.
Unreal.
And it's just crazy that this deal went down. And I don't know. Like, the Schefter report came out 2 hours ago that they're willing to listen, which was someone telling them, probably it might be happening here and then.
And closer.
Yes.
These things tend to drip like that. But wow.
What a scene. And Cowboy fans are reaching out now to me, and I'm sure to everyone else. Like, what are we going to do now?
That line now for Eagles-Cowboys, still 7.5. Didn't move a ton. It was already pre-adjusted a little bit, but
yeah,
I think the Eagles are going to beat the wheels off them.
I would lean on that.
It's tough being a Cowboys fan, man. Like, I think from the people that I follow and the people that I'm friends with, it's like laughing emojis. Like, they're just laughing about it.
Because, kind of course.
Yeah, this is our life, and this is what Jerry does, and this is what we got to deal with.
Yeah. Well, now you're relying on Dak Prescott. Like Luke said, you're relying on an offense to really, really fire on all cylinders.
Has to.
Because the defense is weaker now, and it's going to have to adjust. All right. We'll continue with this throughout the afternoon. Hoping to catch up with Steve Phillips on the Jays Brewers tomorrow night. His take on Hoffman going back in, getting the save last night. Yeah, Micah Parsons is a Green Bay Packer. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
It's not about a single moment. It's about a movement.
Caitlin Clark doing her thing. Ooh.
Having fun with it right now.
She is a force to be reckoned with.
She scores! We stay winning.
Let's celebrate these incredible athletes. The first goal in history.
Women's Rugby World Cup. Every match, every moment, only on TSN.
All right, breaking news this hour. Micah Parsons traded from the Dallas Cowboys to the Green Bay Packers for defensive tackle Kenny Clark and 2 first-round picks. And Parsons immediately gets the largest contract in NFL history for a non-quarterback. 4 years, $188 million, $47 million annual. I think it's like $130 million guaranteed. So much money.
A lot of money.
It's
man.
a lot of
money. It's a lot of money for a non-quarterback.
It is,
and it's a lot of money for a guy that, like, you could double team that guy in a game and be like,
yes.
What do you do?
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously going to be other players that can break through in those situations, but it's a lot.
It's a lot. And listen,
big investment.
We just had Luke on, and Luke kind of he poured a little bit of water over the excitement in Green Bay and said, paying a lot of money to him and Jordan Love, which is true. But my counter to that is, if you're going to, those are the positions you spend money on. You spend money on a 26-year-old quarterback and a 26-year-old all-pro pass rushing machine.
Who are surrounded with the right things, too.
Yes.
This is not going top-heavy like Dallas is, where you have CeeDee Lamb and Dak on big deals for what right now?
Mm-hmm.
You've got to try to win, but for what right now?
Oh, they're not winning.
No.
Dallas,
no chance.
Now they're in a weird position because they're not in a win-now mode, but they're not clearly in a rebuild unless they start to tear down pieces and say we're gonna build this thing back up. But that brings you to the murky middle.
That's the question with Jerry Jones. Like, what would he allow that? Like, would he allow his team to sink? Because they're always relatively competitive. Like last year was an outlier. Dak was hurt. He just was never himself. They got off to a bad start. It just didn't work out. You know, Parsons was in and out as well. It wasn't their year. Prior to that, though, they won a lot of ball games.
They had a really good defense 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some teams just can't rebuild, though. The Lakers, the Cowboys.
Right.
You just can't strip down.
The market won't allow for it.
No, you can't go 3-14 and wait a couple of years. And it doesn't make sense now. With Lamb, with Dak, they're caught in the middle, which is the worst place to be. Way worse than the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. Because that offense, like Dak can play, and he can play at home in particular. And CeeDee Lamb's a top 3 or 4 wide receiver in a game. And like Luke said, they got Pickens now from Pitt, who, I don't know, does he run routes properly? Is he a guy that you can trust? I'm not sure. He's got uber talent, though. So, like Dallas, what is true, because of the other teams you referenced, is it doesn't matter if they're good or not. They will be a focal point in the NFL. Like they're going to be on primetime all the time. And this is another example of how the NFL, it just falls in their lap, where it was already baked in that the Packers are going to Dallas on Sunday Night Football. You don't have to flex the game. You don't have to wait a year until he returns.
Brilliant.
He's returning in a month. He'll be back in Dallas on Sunday Night Football, your biggest platform, a month from now.
Yeah.
Like, it's just right there for them. And if you're every other league, you're like, how is this like this? Again, I get it. Completely different scenario. But this is why when I was yelling and screaming about how is Mitch Marner coming into town on a Friday after a back-to-back? How? Like
the schedule, when Mitch Marner gets traded to Vegas, the schedule's not released at that point.
No.
We still have like 2 or 3 weeks before the schedule is released. You're telling me you couldn't, even if you had the skeleton schedule done already, based on what you saw prior to free agency.
We got to make a little. Can we flip those two?
We can do something here, right?
Can we bring them to Toronto first, Boston on the Friday night?
Whereas I feel like this is baked in because the schedule came out already,
yes.
and this is.
It fell in their laps.
I feel like the NFL is a league that if they just had the bones of it, they would have said we're going to make a little adjustment.
Well, exactly. I mean, you play the divisions you're going to play, and then based on where you're in the standings, you determine who you might play in terms of the non-division or non-conference games or what have you. But yeah, like this is one I don't believe they flex until much later in the season, but it would almost be like you got to make it
past the second half.
Yeah, you got to do something here and flex it, but you don't have to. It's Sunday Night Football, Packers, Cowboys.
Because the NFL never loses, but their TV partners never ever lose. Yes, they spend a ton of money.
You're right. You'll see that game on TSN on Sunday night. You'll see that game on TSN. Yeah, what a story, man. And this is a great way to kick off football. You got college football, I believe, beginning tonight. The NFL begins a week tonight. You got the Jays with an off day, and they get cooking with Milwaukee in town tomorrow.
And like we can say everything that we want to say about Jerry Jones and how he conducted this. The NFL never loses because they get all the eyeballs. Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, he's still going to get in front of the microphone.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to do his radio hits. He's going to be front and center for weeks now.
Yeah. Oh,
dissecting this
three-ring circus
for weeks.
That's right.
And the Dallas Cowboys, they're still going to be the most valuable franchise in sports. And that drum keeps getting banged because of the Jerry Jones machine. Whether he's right or wrong, it keeps going.
One of his weird scrums, too, where people stand in a circle around him. Can we get this guy on a podium?
Dude, by like an elevator or something. It's the most bizarre thing.
Can we get Jerry Jones on an elevated surface, please?
There's not like the guy is the owner of the most valuable franchise in sports, and he does it in like the weird bowels and areas of stadiums that you don't expect him to be. Like there's nothing regal about it.
It's like a local politician like leaving Queen's Park or something, and they're getting run after by news channels.
It's like when Rob Ford was around and he would just like hold court wherever. Yeah. It's like, here's Rob Ford and he's got an Argos jersey on and he's talking about crazy stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. It was wild stuff. Right? And that's what's coming with Jerry. Jerry is set. They're setting up something.
That's what's coming. The video has been released.
It's coming, man. Jerry's going to be right in front of this, and he'll explain it. And I'm curious if he throws Parsons under the bus, probably throws his agent under the bus. Yeah. He probably will. The Cowboys have just tweeted out like the deal being official, and the comment section is this is how I'm going to spend my evening. I have a fantasy draft, kids, and comment section, because it's just Cowboy fans are going ballistic because it's a self-loathing, experience. And there's a lot of fan bases that have it. And I'm very familiar with one that happens to reside in this town.
Get your damn act together.
Where you want to have faith and you want to believe, and yet you're like, I'm in too deep. I'm a Cowboy fan. What do you want me to do? This is what I got.
That's what I'm just, what you're born into.
And you're like, all right, they traded Parsons, and I love him, and he's my favorite player, and he's great. But I guess they traded him, and now whatever. I guess we'll just keep going.
Next draft.
Yeah, but you're there's this constant like doom and gloom, and this, I'm sure, just an element of like just self-loathing. You're like, how am I a Packer? How am I a fan of this?
It's like being a Leaf fan.
That's kind of who I was alluding to.
It's like being a Leaf fan.
It's the same thing.
Des Bryant wants us to do a mini Jerry's. Arch Manning will have a star on his helmet.
Well, that
is Des Bryant obviously tweeting that.
Yes. Does he have the foresight? Does Jerry Jones have the foresight to tank for 2 years to get Arch Manning?
And they lure him out
know that
a year
though
early.
He ain't coming. He's not coming right
Likely
away.
not coming out this year. So this would be a 2-year plan. That means you're getting rid of Dak at some point. You're getting rid of, I don't know how you're going to do all that.
Lamb at some point.
And here's another question. Would the Manning family want that? Or would they say we're not coming to
They might be too smart for that. But that's going to be the end game here. Is Jerry Jones using these 2 extra first-rounders, whether it's Arch Manning or Lenora Sellers or Nussmeier, whoever it's going to be, there is going to be a shiny new toy that captures Jerry Jones's old eyes, and he is going to do anything in the world to get it, because there's going to be one more savior. He is going to elect a new savior in the next 2 years who will come in and save the Dallas Cowboys. And, man, I wouldn't want to be that guy.
No kidding. So Packers open at home against Detroit, and then they start the Thursday night football campaign against Washington on Thursday night, week 2 at Lambeau Field. And then they're at Cleveland, at Dallas. So you've got, that prime time, that kind of middle of the afternoon, 4:25 kickoff against Detroit with Parsons making his debut at Lambeau. And then you got to wait only 4 more days for Jaden Daniels and the Washington Commanders to roll through on Thursday night football at Lambeau. And then week 4, Sunday night at Dallas. Like, what a start.
Cooking schedule.
What incredible a start. Yeah, this is incredible. Every picture of Jerry Jones, it just makes him look more and more disheveled.
He looks like he's reading the comments in that picture on your screen right now. He looks like he's scrolling the mentions between Dallas Cowboys Twitter. But I cannot wait, like we were just talking about and Frankie was saying, I cannot wait to see his first comments on this.
Yep.
I think he's taking the low road big time.
I think
it is we didn't need him. I think it is he made a choice. And it won't be, he won't have his chest out on it. It won't be the proper way to do it. I think it'll be a bit of a slimy low road.
Yeah, I think
it'll be little side jabs.
It's coming, though.
And we'll be all over it, and we'll dissect it. And
then he'll come out the next day and do another one, and the following day, and it's going to be the Jerry Jones show now. Micah Parsons is a Green Bay Packer. More on that still to come. Jay's back in action with Milwaukee in town tomorrow night. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, Steve Phillips, Mike Golick Jr. in the next hour. With the help of Healthy Planet, TSN 1050 is donating $10,000 to TDSB's Backpacks and School Supplies Drive. You can help support our local students, too. A $25 donation provides one backpack for a student, and a $30 donation total ensures it includes all the essentials. Donations are being accepted now through the end of September. Head to tsn1050.ca to donate. All right. Jays with an off day today. Bet you they're doing fantasy drafts tonight.
This would be, you would.
Last night. The Blue Jays?
Last night?
I saw the big board going.
Really?
Yeah.
So in the clubhouse, were they doing that?
Big board. They had their draw for picks last week. Something involving dropping, those little parachute men from the roof of the dome?
Cool.
I don't know if there was a target or what it was. There's certain times where I'm like, you know what? I don't need to be in your business all the time.
I love that.
It was coming, but big draft last night. We'll
see. That means the boys got after one last night. After a win. So. What a huge win.
Green light special. Day off the next day.
Day off, no travel, fantasy draft that night.
Probably some wild picks in the 11th round.
Yes. Man, to be a fly on the wall there in the Jays
got
clubhouse.
after it big time last night.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Hour 3 coming up. Steve Phillips, Mike Golick Jr., Micah Parsons is a Green Bay Packer. OverDrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Sunday football all in one place. TSN Plus. Subscribe now.
This is OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog on TSN 1050.
Final hour OverDrive continues, powered by FanDuel, bringing you everything from the opening line of the final score. Brian Hayes, Keegan Matheson, Frankie Corrado. What an afternoon it's been. Micah Parsons traded about an hour ago from Dallas to the Green Bay Packers for Kenny Clark and 2 first-round picks. Parsons immediately gets paid more than any other non-quarterback in NFL history. Huge money.
Huge money.
Huge money.
How do you not feel for Dallas sports fans right now? Micah Parsons traded, Doncic traded.
Ooh, that's true.
Sucks, man. Like, they've lost
true.
2 marquee superstars in the last calendar year.
That's a very good point. It's because a lot of fandom is, who's the superstar player that I attach myself to.
Think about the average fan, right? Like the average fan that doesn't listen to every talk radio, every podcast, just like goes to the token couple games every year. Like, I want to go see Doncic. I want to go see Parsons. You don't have that now.
Yeah, and that's most fans. Like, we're so far inside this, it's every single day. But most fans, they just want to have a beer, watch the game, watch most of the games, probably not all of them.
Yeah.
Rough year in Dallas. Trade Paige Beckers next. Just blow the whole city up.
Exactly.
I mean, come on. Who is left?
Well, and the Dallas Stars jumped in and said, we still have Mikko Rantanen, right? And they did get Rantanen, and they signed him. But that's true. Like, I would think the 2 biggest stars in Dallas this time last year were Luka and Micah Parsons. Like Dak would be up there. Whoever the quarterback of the Cowboys, clearly. The Rangers, I don't know. They won a World Series a couple of years ago, so, maybe Corey Seager or something like that, but
not in the same household value, name value.
That's a Cowboys town first and foremost, and then I would think the Mavs, like Dirk forever. But yeah, Luka and Parsons gone in 6 months. Crazy.
A lot of star power out the door, man, for one city's fan base.
Yeah, crazy. And both shocking deals. Like, both shocking deals. This one, there were more breadcrumbs with this one.
Yes.
We knew there was an impasse with the contract. The reports have been out that maybe the Packers were kicking tires, other teams. Dallas was willing to listen. Jerry Jones was clearly adamant, like, I'm not paying you that. So, this became a bullying move, basically, where Jerry decided, you're not going to do that to me. I'll ship you out. And if you really wanted to be a Cowboy, sorry, you made the decision not to play by my rules.
Yeah. Ego in both of them.
Yeah. Like, there's an element.
Harris thinking he's smart, too.
Element of that I respect. I think it's crazy. I have no time for Jerry Jones as an executive of a football team putting personnel together. But there is a part of me that has to respect the fact that he's like, this is my team. I'm the Cowboy.
Is he
and this is the way it's going to go. Like, it's kind of wild.
He's playing Madden.
That
he's an 82-year-old playing Madden.
Jerry Jones exists. The fact that this guy exists in modern sports is wild.
I think this is more indicative of who Jerry Jones is supposed to be. A wild maverick cowboy who just lets it fly, and it's like, you're not going to mess with me. The previous negotiations where Jerry Jones kind of was all talk and then eventually gave in and paid his guys and made Dak Prescott the most highest paid quarterback at the time, that's not Jerry Jones. Like, I think this was him just kind of asserting himself a little bit, but very different than the Doncic thing.
Yes.
Right? Remember that? It was like very secretive. No one knew about it. You could only negotiate with the one team. They didn't open it up to anything. I mean, who knows how many teams would have been in on this? Would be very interesting to know.
Yeah.
Was there an AFC team that had a deal similar?
Wow.
Or maybe, like, could they have brought their price up a little bit more, or did they have the pieces?
That's what I'm wondering. Is there any regret out there? If you're the Buffalo Bills, if you're the Bills, were you not calling?
A lot of teams have got to be looking at this right now, and this is my Packers bias, like 1 inch to the side, not all the way to the side, but 1 inch to the side. This is, I think, a pretty affordable package for a player of this caliber. And if you are one of those AFC powerhouses where the NFC is wide open, it's wide open right now, but the AFC with multiple powerhouse teams. I mean, the AFC Championship is probably going to be the game of the year.
Yeah.
How are you not matching this and going out and getting a player of this caliber? Because I don't think that Kenny Clark is a tipping factor in any of this. Love Kenny Clark. He's been a fantastic Packer, an underrated player who doesn't get enough attention, but you can find that. And I don't think that this is a controllable young player by any means that's going to tilt this that the Bills or the Ravens or someone else couldn't have done.
Yeah.
And I know that these things get shopped around, but the Luka example is always a great one. There's nobody leaking out yet that Micah Parsons was overweight. We'll see if it follows the same script. We'll see how this drip goes because I think it's going to.
You're right. Yeah, and listen, it's a lot of money. Parsons, credit to him and his agent. Like, they allowed Garrett to go first and T.G. Watt to go first. And they said, well, we need more. And the Packers bit, and they gave it to him. And it's a lot of money. Packers are paying him a lot and Jordan Love a lot. But if you're building a team, that's where you spend your money. Well, because quarterback first, pass rush second. Yeah. They don't have a wide receiver that's commanding a lot of money. They don't have a cornerback that's commanding a lot of money. A left tackle that commands a fortune. Like, those are the money jobs. Yeah. Those are the jobs where you get blown out of proportion in terms of the contract.
And especially in a year where, like you mentioned, it's pretty wide open in the NFC. And if you look in the division, weren't we talking about it a few weeks back? The Lions' schedule this year is like very, very difficult.
Very tough.
Their over-under for wins is actually lower than it has been the last few years. So you probably look at that and say, the year we can get the Lions.
Well, look at Detroit.
For a few more years.
Week 1 is Packers-Lions at Lambeau Field.
Right.
Green Bay's got to win that game.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you got to be in the driver's seat immediately.
And maybe that's hyperbole.
It's early,
because it's one game. But it could
you only play them twice. There can be, a tie break. You get all that kind of stuff. They started their season Green Bay last year down in Brazil. They lost to Philly, actually. The Eagles in a close game, and it was weird. And remember, Love got banged up. But, yeah, we'll see. I would presume Parsons is on his way to Green Bay if he's not there already. Probably debuts tomorrow in camp. He's got over a week to get into game shape. He's going to play. He's going to take snaps next
The game
week.
plan, go get that guy.
Go chase Jared Goff around. So, yeah, crazy little scenario here. Steve Phillips a little bit later this hour. Jays were doing their fantasy draft last night. That's good reporting by you. I like that, man. I like that little insight.
I'm a big games played guy. I'm not always hitting home runs at the park, but I'm always there. I play 162.
Cal Ripken,
I'm always just hanging out. I'm around, and every once in a while you stumble across.
I love it. And the fact that they had the ability, like, if Hoffman goes in and blows that state. In baseball, they're doing the fantasy draft anyway, and they're boozing, having fun, and food's coming in. They're doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Right? But it must have been an unbelievable night. The fact that Hoffman got it done, because they all believe in the guy. They want to, he's such an important piece of the team. And furthermore, Barger got it done, who has been a hugely important piece this year, and he had been really, really slumping. He gets the big hit in the 8th. Hoffman closes the door in the 9th. You can have a party afterwards in your fantasy draft.
Did Barger pick up a different bat or something? Is that a real thing?
Yeah, the story was that Ty France picked up an old Addison Barger bat in the cage, hidden somewhere with dust on it.
Yeah.
Ty France homered with that Barger bat, so the Barger bat came back to the original Addison Barger, and it worked. These guys are always doing weird things. It's happened to me so many times, even this season, where a player will come out to the bags of bats where I typically hang out. I don't like to crowd their space. They're getting dressed. They're living their lives. And Ernie Clement's done this. Alejandro Kirk did it to me. They'll be looking at Bo's bat, another bat. They'll look at me and say, which one should I use today? I say, whoa.
Yeah, wrong guy.
Not my dollar on the line here. But they're always playing around with that stuff. You never hear about it when they go 0 for 4.
Hockey guys do the same thing, though, with sticks. Like, I remember when Caulfield couldn't score? Like, he was going through that really dry spell. Me and Muddy went up to him one day, and we kind of asked him about his stick because he had started scoring or whatever. Like, and since he had kind of gotten hot again, we're like, did you change anything? Your curve, your flex? Like, did you think about the equipment? He's like, no, this is the same stick that I've been using for a while. It's Chris Weidman's. Like, what?
Yeah.
He goes, yeah, one day I just was looking at the stick rack. I tried Weidman's stick, and I liked it, and I kept it. Like, how long ago was that? Like, a year and a half ago. Like, this guy's a 40-goal scorer.
Yeah.
He's
Chris
like
Weidman
he's like
is not
a pure sniper, and he just went and grabbed Chris Weidman's stick, and he's like, this is my stick now, which is absurd.
That's great, though.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, sticks, it all comes down to the curve and, like, how it just feels in your hand.
Kick point.
Yeah, there's something
weight.
about it that, obviously it's got to fit for you, but Yeah, that's big. I guess that barge or bat. He found the right one.
And these players can pick it up, and they give it a little flick. Just the flick. They can feel the weight. Yeah. I wouldn't know the difference.
Right.
But, nobody tells you when they go 0 for 4 and strike out every time.
No, exactly.
But there's always magic when one guy gets – that's like that classic baseball story twice a year.
Right.
Hey, I love a layup.
I love it. No, I thought that was going out last night, and it almost did.
Yeah.
He missed a home run
Almost
by
went
like
through the
inches,
ball.
man.
Missile.
Yeah, he that was a missile he hit last night. Springer going first to home was big, and Kirk running around with no gloves on, no sleeve.
Kirk had a little scoot to him.
He had a little scoot coming down third, coming home.
Yeah,
man.
he picked up a little breeze.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. That was a big win last night. Hoffman comes in for the save. Steve Phillips on that and more in about 15 minutes. Biggest news in sports today, though, Micah Parsons, all-pro pass rusher on his way to Green Bay, gets the massive contract, 2 first-rounders, and Kenny Clark going the other way. Here's Mike Golick Jr., co-host of Golick and Golick on FanDuel Sports Network. Mike, what do you think Jerry Jones is thinking here? Is it possible he's actually made the right play here?
No, but I'm sure he thinks that. I mean, this is insane. And Jerry Jones has made a living of trying to do things his own way, been handsomely rewarded for it. All the gunslinger stuff we've heard from him for years. He finally pushed the wrong player, and now Micah Parsons is a Green Bay Packer. And I can't imagine anyone in Dallas is going to buy what Jerry Jones is trying to sell them.
Yeah, and he's going to, because you know it's coming. The presser's coming tonight, tomorrow, the next day. He'll be up in front of the mic and in front of the cameras as much as he can between now and opening night on Thursday. But if you're – I don't know how you handicap the chances of Dallas being competitive this year. How much does this sink them beyond what maybe you were expecting prior to this trade?
Well, listen, it has a massive effect. I mean, this is a Dallas team that, I get it. There's new leadership there, new coaches on both sides of the ball, but still a team that was searching for personnel answers for how to get over a lot of their issues with stopping the run, doing those things. And the one phase of the game that you could count on was Micah Parsons in this passing attack as a guy that was going to be the point of the spear, as a guy that was going to make things happen, and that opposing offenses at least had to spend their week figuring out how are we going to account resources to stop 11 in that Cowboys uniform. And now opposing offenses, I mean, what do they really have to worry about all that much from the Cowboys defense? It's just not a lot there. And so this is a massive impact on their ability to go out here and be competitive in an NFC East that, as of last year, has another big-time player with the Washington Commanders and how well they did during Jaden Daniels' rookie year.
Before we get to the impact of this on the Green Bay Packers, which I'm sure we're going to get to, when you look at the return that the Cowboys got, is there a team in the AFC that you kind of target and say, well, how come you didn't come to the table with a deal like that? Because you probably could have got a player that really helps you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the easy one to probably look at would have been the New England Patriots, just because you got your quarterback locked up on a rookie deal. You've got a ton of cap space to play with. You've got all the signs there. Micah Parsons, and under a defensive-minded regime with Mike Vrabel, could have been a real linchpin guy, even if the fit wasn't maybe perfect. So I think that could be one. But, with them, it's tough. You're not competitive right now in the same way the Green Bay Packers are. And, we're going into this, quite honestly. So I think that could have been the one. But teams would have needed a specific amount of cap space. Micah Parsons, that deal was worked out post-trade. So he was going to need a certain amount of cap space. I think it was Field Yates said just over $21 million. So there were only, I believe, according to Over the Cap, 7 teams that would have qualified for that. And so I think this was probably always going to be one of the names people associated with it, and turns out to be the one that gets it done.
Mike, we're just seeing now that the Cowboys will have their press conference 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern, I believe. If Jerry Jones is at that, how do you think that gets handled? Do you think he takes the low road and there's some side swiping along the way? Do you think there's some hurt egos in all of this? What do you think those comments are going to be like off the top?
I'd imagine Jerry Jones is going to try and paint this as, the positive in the haul that he got back. He loves talking about, back in the day, the hauls that he's gotten in the past or that teams have given up. He tries to point out all the time that one player can never really be the difference. And in the propaganda battle and the lead up to this, he talked about how, hey, Mike has had injuries in the past year. Look what happens when you have too much money tied up in one player. And so I'm sure he's going to keep the focus on the future, the overhaul, what they're going to be able to do with the 2 first-round picks going into this. So I'd imagine that would probably be the lead there, in addition to, like he's been doing a lot of this time, putting the onus on Micah Parsons saying, hey, I had the deal ready to go for him. He's the one that didn't want to be a Dallas Cowboy, and now here we are, even though we all know that's not the case.
With Mike Golick Jr., Golick and Golick on the FanDuel Sports Network. So for the Packers, how does this change? Wait, I asked you how Parsons leaving Dallas changes the way you'd handicap their season. How does Parsons arriving in Green Bay change the way you'd handicap Green Bay's upcoming season?
Legitimate Super Bowl contenders. It should be them and the Lions in a dogfight for the NFC North to start this season. I think they're now both heads and tails of a Vikings team that's going to be basically starting a rookie and a Bears team that's got a lot of newness in the building that's still going to have to work itself out. So I think it absolutely puts them in contention like that. Going into this offseason, everyone said they needed a few specific things, right? They needed a difference-making receiver on offense, and they hope Matthew Golden, their first-round pick, is going to be that guy. But they also needed someone that was a more dynamic rusher. Rashawn Gary is your best pass rusher, is good for a lot of places, but maybe not Super Bowl good in a division as competitive as the NFC North. With Micah Parsons now as your lead dog in that, you lose Kenny Clark, and he's obviously an important-ish guy still, but I think overall this now vaults them into the kind of defense where, hey, Jeff Hafley came over last year, instilled that more attacking style to them and changed the way that they're going to go about business there. So I think he is an addition that puts you in a legitimate conversation as a Super Bowl contender.
Mike, when we remove Jerry Jones from all of this, which I know is awfully hard to do, but I'm curious your thoughts on the actual package itself that the Packers are sending over to Dallas in this. Now, getting Kenny Clark is one fine player, probably not a long-term piece. The 2 first-round picks, my first thought is that those are probably late in the first round. What do you think about this package compared to what you might have had in mind going into this whole saga?
About what I expected. Like, I figured it was going to be at least 2 firsts. We had heard originally that was kind of the early report coming out. I wouldn't have been surprised if Dallas had been asking for a third on there. And so getting a player back who can go out here and help you, you hope immediately, I guess qualifies. But this is around what we expected it would take to get a 26-year-old who's one of the 3 best pass rushers in the NFL.
And then when it comes to the deal that he signs with the Green Bay Packers, 4 years, $188 million, $120 guaranteed. I think it goes up to $136 million in guarantees eventually. How easily digestible, I guess, is that money for a non-quarterback? And I guess how much more he's going to be making than someone like T.J. Watt per year?
To me, I think it's really easy to take when you've got the quarterback of your future already on the roster. That's the big thing you worry about with a lot of these. And Green Bay's already got that taken care of. They understand they've got a window of opportunity here while you've got new coordinator changes in Detroit, while you've got a new quarterback coming into Minnesota, while you're hoping maybe Saquon Barkley, the Philadelphia Eagles, there might be a step back there coming off that Super Bowl, where Saquon Barkley eats all those touches. So I think they understood the opportunity. And listen, he had a lot of leverage coming in knowing, hey, you're dealing with a guy who is a trade asset. They automatically come in with that bit of leverage. And to me, look at what Kyle Hamilton and the Baltimore Ravens did. When you pay a young guy that you know is great early, that contract ages well fast. And with this one, you have a long timeline that you're trying to work with here with Micah Parsons. And so I think this is a no-brainer in terms of the money spent given where this team currently is situated.
Who do you think will have a better year this year, Jordan Love or Dak Prescott?
I would say overall Jordan Love, because he's going to be on a better team. Dak Prescott in that offense could be doing a version of what we've seen Joe Burrow have to do with the Cincinnati Bengals, depending on how that all goes. Dak Prescott, I think, still could arguably be the better quarterback when healthy, but it's just asking a lot of a guy to continue to go out and shoulder the load with what they're turning over on the other side of the ball.
Great catching up with you, Mike. Thank you for doing this.
Thanks, guys.
Mike Golick Jr. Yeah, man. Let's see what we got. Micah Parsons, Green Bay Packer.
Dude, I already know what you're doing when you go home. You're going to put that Packers helmet on, and you're just going to walk around the house.
You're right.
And
I'm
you're going to be a
hardcore
Packers fan tonight.
I'm not generally Jersey guy. Parsons might have to happen.
Yeah?
Parsons,
you'll do a
close.
Jersey?
I'm pretty anti-Jersey myself.
I'm not Jersey
Rarely
guy.
my look.
Yeah.
But that's pretty special.
Do you have one? Do you have a Rodgers or a Favre?
I've got a Rodgers and a Favre. Yeah, both of them are massive and do not fit. Like the Favre one is like a quad XL.
Quad X.
I've got a couple of old ones. I have a Rodgers, a Favre, a Greg Jennings, I think, a B.J. Raji.
I love that.
From back in the day.
Raji was a big part of that
Freezer,
Super Bowl
I love
team,
that
man.
one.
Yep.
And
Boston College.
You know what? I had a deep cut. I had a Jermichael Finley jersey from my real peak fandom.
Love that.
And
yeah, it's going to be big, man. And it's just so great that the Packers play Detroit. Like, you can't ask for anything better to start the year. Just right off the bat, battle the NFC North. 100%. Let's see what you got.
See where everyone's at.
Yeah, and the Cowboys, I think Jerry obviously was stubborn, and Jerry wasn't going to lose this one, and he wasn't going to hand over what he didn't think he was supposed to hand over. But I think if you're a Cowboy fan, I just don't see how you can wrap your head around this.
No.
No, and again, if someone else was the GM that was coming in to reset the organization, I could possibly deal with that. I'd be like, all right, you got an extra couple first-round picks. You can have some money available. They have a ton of cap space available now. But it's Jones that's going to determine what they do with these picks and what they do with that money, and he's going to get it wrong.
100%.
And they can't spend it right now. If they'd made this deal back in, March?
Yeah, exactly.
Number one, the return would have been higher. Number two, you take this cash, you put it somewhere else.
Right.
Like the Cowboys are always going to spend up to the cap. They've got cash, no problem. Now they can't do anything with it this year.
No.
There's no real value extensions. I know that Pickens is going into a last year, and I do think he's going to pop off this year. I think CeeDee Lamb runs all the shorts, the mid-route crossings, and Pickens goes nuts over the top, throwing, but this is tough.
Yeah. To your point, if Bean was the GM of the Cowboys,
right,
we'd be looking at that and saying, all right, something's up here. He's pretty meticulous, knows what he's doing. Jerry.
Yeah, it's Jerry.
Jerry. He's just flying by the seat of his pants, or at least that's what the perception is. Because
perception is reality. It's been 30 years
he's
now.
Built that.
Yeah, he owns his reputation. Like, there's no getting around it. Cowboys are what they are because of Jerry Jones.
It's pretty wild though, man. Like to see that happen in real time with a couple of hardcore Packers.
Yeah, I like that. You got some good live picks there,
right,
man. You went paparazzi on us.
This is our group chat. What time did Ryan send that?
3:02 p.m.
Yeah. Cowboys.
And there's the cheese.
And I was sitting in traffic on the Gardner.
Yeah. Quick reaction.
He's all fired up.
There we go.
I didn't even allow myself to react to that because I just didn't believe they were going to do it. I didn't believe either party would get to that point.
Does this make up for all the times you've been off the show and you've missed?
I've missed a lot over the years.
Have happened.
This is pretty good.
This is your Packers, man. This is a special one.
And it's a positive one. The Packers are all in now. Like they're basically saying, chips on the table, we're chasing a Super Bowl.
And they're
right
so
now.
rarely the big news team. You know, the Packers, like, when I got into this job, like, I'm no longer a fan of a baseball team. And, hockey is not my number one. Basketball, I like to watch it. I've always kept the Packers as the one team that I'm allowing myself to stay an unhinged fan of because I don't think I'm ever going to cover them. I think I'm clear.
Yep.
They never make the big splash. They're not the Cowboys being the biggest news guys every offseason. Right. Yep. This is rare.
This is rare.
Incredibly rare.
They drafted a wide receiver in the first round, which maybe was a sign of things to come.
They're getting a little flashy in that small town.
Al is freezing over, and now they've gone out and got Micah Parsons.
What would have to happen for either of you guys to be face paint guy?
Never. Not possible.
Wow.
Could never happen.
Face paint guy just
you'd have
to
give me non-negotiable.
Like my kids would have to be like, well, you got to do it or something. Yeah, I don't even like if you're saying Super Bowl or something like that. I don't know. Face paint guy? Where am I going with face painting?
It's tough because then you end up on a screen. Then you go to the game. The Packers get whooped, and the camera zooms in on me looking like an idiot with a big beard and a yellow-green face.
You become dark guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're dark guy.
You're dark guy.
Happens fast.
Well, you look at face paint guy, and you're like, that guy's going to show up to his accounting job tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right.
Tomorrow.
And especially in a loss. Like in a win, face paint guy is affable, and it's kind of cool. Everyone's in it together. When the team's getting pumped and you're face paint guy, it's such a horrible decision.
Yeah.
And you can never, ever crawl yourself back.
Tough to win that one.
Very difficult. Yeah. All right, Keegan, what do you have, a 5-pack of things you want to see happen for the Blue Jays the rest of the way?
That's right.
You got a list.
I forgot that team still exists.
We got a Keegan's list here.
Wow.
List.
Yes. We were going to do a lot of stuff. We were going to do a draft today. I had a list going for the NFL. Everything got thrown out of whack because of this trade. But we will reset. We'll get to our best bets powered by FanDuel later in the hour. OverDrive continues, TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Now, back to OverDrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, best bets powered by FanDuel later in the hour. All right, we've been talking a lot about this Micah Parsons deal. Parsons on his way from Dallas to Green Bay gets a boatload of money, 2 first-rounders, Kenny Clark going the other way. Jerry Jones will speak soon. Parsons will arrive in Green Bay. We'll hear from Matt LaFleur and everyone in Green Bay, I'm sure, tomorrow. And a week tonight, Dallas-Philly opening night. And a week Sunday will be Lions, Lambeau Field, taking on the Green Bay Packers. So that's going to be electric. Speaking of the beautiful state of Wisconsin, the Milwaukee Brewers are rolling through town. And they are here tomorrow for 3. And this sets up beautifully because it goes Bieber, which I noticed the Jays are really, as they should be, right? Like marketing the fact that Bieber's making a start tomorrow night, home start, big. You know, it's big. They said, I sent the email out today. I don't think there's any tickets available anyway, so it's not like they're trying to sell 10,000 tickets. That place is going to be packed all weekend. But Bieber tomorrow, Gosman Saturday, Scherzer Sunday. That's probably your game 1, 2, and 3.
Probably. Lined up on purpose, too. Fantastic Wisconsin segue, too.
Yes.
That's big league stuff.
Thank you. That felt good.
God.
That felt good.
You never know where an evening's going to take you.
Yeah, that one, that almost was scripted.
That's good. I can't let that go past without acknowledgement.
That was almost scripted.
But that's probably the 1, 2, 3. They bumped Berrios a little bit, which I think is good, and he probably needs it. But, man, 1, 2, 3, and you're feeling pretty good about it right now.
Yeah, you are. And Milwaukee, man, this is a test. But the Jays have played up to the competition all year. They've been great at the Rogers Center. They've been great against playoff caliber teams. So I think they're set. I think they'll be in a good shape. And, you know, they're a little bit banged up. Everyone's dealing with that right now. But your starters are good. Your bullpen, we'll see what comes of it. Hopefully last night's a sign of what could come for Jeff Hoffman into the future. But you have a list for us here. You have 5 things you'd like to see happen between now and the end of the regular season?
5 whole things.
5
in
whole
September,
things.
before
In
we
September.
get to October.
Okay, establish that.
And for the Blue Jays. And that's what it's all about now. It's the season to be picky.
Okay.
Because the Blue Jays are trying to stay atop. We'll start with our number 5, the rotation certainty. I want to see that by mid-September for them. And I think we have just talked about the number 1, 2, and 3.
So is this a 5-man rotation you're saying you want to establish?
I want to see that by mid-September and have some certainty about what else you're doing. Because I think a perfect scenario, guys, is sticking with Bieber, Gosman, Scherzer. In a perfect world, Berrios has a great month because I think he's a true starter. I don't think he's a reliever at all. And then you have Chris Bassett, who's so flexible. He can do anything. If it's weird, if it's short, if it's long, he can do it. And then you keep Eric Lauer in that long man role, another lefty, whatever works out. That's important because you don't want to take this flexibility up to the end. And I know it's easy to call it a good problem. Good problems still need good answers. I don't know if we're there yet. Moving past that, staying on pitching, I want to see a reliever to step up. Not Jeff Hoffman, but somebody else. Because we haven't seen enough of that lately. And this bullpen has been a problem for the Blue Jays. Their ERA since the start of August has not been good enough. And beyond Jeff Hoffman, that's a great start. If you have Jeff Hoffman looking like he did in April, bang, you're happy. Everything's good. You need somebody in the 7th who's just as good. You need someone in the 8th who's just as good. It has not been Louis Varland yet. Sir Anthony Dominguez has had some moments. I mean, Big Tommy Nance is in there burning it up. He looks good, but you need it to be one of the expected pitchers right at this point. So I think that's an important one. And then coming up into the middle here at number 3, I think a lot of eyes are on John Schneider this month, guys. And I think that's a good thing. Like, I want to see John Schneider continue to be himself coming up here because this entire team is taking cues from John Schneider. Last year, the year before, I saw a John Schneider, and we've talked about this. I ask John Schneider a million questions a year. I'm in his office way too much. And I've heard John Schneider and seen him when he is a little tense and he is trying to feel his way through some of these things. He's letting it rip this year, man. It is working. And you're seeing a team around John Schneider that's letting it rip, that is going for that extra base, that is setting that example like George Springer is doing. I think John Schneider's doing a hell of a job lately. Not every decision's perfect. I haven't loved every bullpen move. I'm never going to. But I think he's the right guy for this team right now. Just like John Gibbons was the right manager for those teams back in 15 and 16. Manager and team fitting together, it's not something we talk about enough.
Yeah,
you have the wrong manager for the wrong team.
Very good point.
Wrong messaging. Old guy, young guy, whatever it is.
Gibby was good with a veteran team, right? Like just your clubhouse.
He knew when to get out of the way.
Yeah.
That clubhouse had
at that
20 personalities. That would be the biggest one in this clubhouse. Because I started covering the team in 2017, and there was always a threat. If I ask a wrong question, am I going to get told to There's no threat of that right now. It's different personalities these days.
No, that's a good one, though. This is a big month for Schneider.
Big one.
You know, I mean, he came in. There was heat on all of them, right? Schneider, Atkins, Shapiro. Now you've done the heavy lifting. Now you got to bring it home. Like, you got to figure out exactly what you need, what you want, what the messaging is. And Boston's 3.5 back. The Yankees are 4.5 games back. Like, it's you play them both this month as well. I mean, that's really, really significant.
I feel more confidence in this team right now. Not my confidence in them, because that doesn't matter. They have confidence. And think back to the Barrios-Kikuchi move. That's been beaten to death, and it doesn't need to be rehashed over and over. But what that was a team trying to outsmart someone, not outplay them.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the big leagues. You're the best team in the American League. Go outplay somebody. Don't outthink them. Don't out-strategize them. And I can promise you that type of move is not going to happen again. From talking to people around the team, that is...
they are very aware of the reaction to that.
And even if that call came down to the dugout, I think John Schneider would snap that phone in half at this point. I promise
I think that's important. That point is important.
Yes.
That John Schneider learned from it, and John Schneider understands, you know, who writes the checks and who employed them, and the power of a front office and analytical department and all that kind of stuff. But when the game is being played, you do have the ability to say, this is my show.
Absolutely.
And he's got to do that.
Like any of us in any job. Year 1, year 2, you're a little tight. By year 3, you told me to do this. Well, what about this?
Yeah.
This works better for me. Moving up to number 2, and this is the obvious one, the chalk one, but I want to see another Vladdy heater. Man, he had a good stretch there coming up. Dealing with that hamstring injury, I want to make sure that's not affecting Vladdy too much.
Mm-hmm.
But Vladdy needs to put on another show for this team, for this city. Him and Bo Bichette have not won a playoff game yet. They are getting at the end of Bo Bichette's tenure. This is the beginning of a long, long road for Vladdy. They haven't won a playoff game. He hasn't had a playoff moment. He's got a ton of time for that. I know the opportunities have been very thin, just a few of those along the way. But I want to, and I need to see that big stretch from Vladdy, because in the postseason, he's the one player who can break it all open. Man, he's looked good lately, but you need to see that classic Vladdy, which means pulling fly balls to left field.
Right.
It means power.
Yep, means power. Absolutely, in the biggest moments. And like his health, he was back playing first base. You presume he's close to 100%. But that's your guy.
He's not a base stealer. He's okay with a hamstring injury.
Vladdy Guerrero Jr.
You have no issue with how Vladdy has played this year, but you know that in a year where everything's really going right and the team's cooking, you're like, if he could just find that like extra bit of power, holy moly, man.
Yeah.
What a difference that could be.
That's the curse of being Vladdy. Unless you're winning the MVP, we all know there's a little more there. No matter how good he is, you know there's a little more there.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 1, and keep in mind, guys, this is by the end of the season. I want to see Trey Savage. I want to see the Blue Jays call up their number 1 prospect. I want to see them put him in the bullpen and see how fun it can be. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Whatever. You don't lose anything out of that. You keep him off the roster come the postseason. But they have an opportunity now to look at a young pitcher. David Price in 2008 with the Rays is always the great example of using that innings limit, getting a young guy up. Price was 22 then as well. Getting Trey Savage into that bullpen for a look. What's it look like for 1 inning? What's it look like for 2 innings? He might just blow a few people away. It might be a little shoddy. He might lose the zone, and you say, cool, next year you're our number 5. But that's one more chance you can take. That's one more dice roll, and there's a lot of 6s on that dice. That's a good-looking dice to roll. I want to see you Savage for a bit. You need to take a look because the talent is too tantalizing. When a guy like that is close, it's hard to say no.
I like that idea.
And he's been pitching in AAA now for a little while, right?
Mm-hmm. 3 starts now, and a bad one, an okay one, and this last one looked a lot better. Now, his velocity's not where it was, but that's him going over 5 innings, about 100 innings into his season.
Sure.
Shorten him up. Let it rip. He is a big throwback, country-strong guy, and someone who I think would thrive on being told, hey, go out for an inning, scream into your glove, and let it rip. Go nuts. I love it.
Yeah,
I like that idea.
It's an interesting thing, though, for a young guy, right? Because I feel like in any league, you get a young player, you just can't overcoach it. You can't overteach it. You have to give him some kind of semblance of, you have done this a million times. Just go be yourself. Trust your instincts. And you're right. Like, maybe it's not something that is a long runway thing, but in 1 inning or just to get your feet wet, probably not the worst thing in the world.
Listen, it's a great opportunity for him because if he gets that opportunity, and he should, and he can seize it and be a big factor on this team. This bullpen is a mess right now. Yeah. They are begging for someone.
The ceiling
to
is there.
It's there. I mean, it's asking a lot. I wouldn't necessarily go in preparing for him to replicate David Price or whatever. But what's pretty incredible, and it's very rare in sports, is that he's got an opportunity to come up and possibly like fit in immediately.
Right away.
And be a guy that they're going to a fair amount.
And guys like Louis Varland, Sir Anthony Dominguez, like you just wait for them to work. Jeff Hoffman, you wait for him to work. You're not going to do anything there. Mm-hmm. But this bullpen is going through guys like Mason Fluharty, Justin Brule, Paxton Schultz. Mm-hmm. And in 3 days, September 1, you're going to add a roster spot. You're going to add one more. So you can take that on, even while you are working around this strange rotation setup. Creative, I guess is the word. But you savage. If it doesn't work, so what? It costs you a few innings. But if it does work, it might win you a game.
Well, it's a revealer, too. Because if he comes up and he pitches a couple innings, and let's say it goes poorly, and the guy gets rocked, well, you know what? There's your little measuring stick as far as what the difference is between where you're at and where you need to get to. And he goes into next season with a good understanding of, and you would have that over the offseason. So it's not, you could call it a win-win. Like you can come in, pitch really well, give you something, offer you something. Maybe he's an option. And in the worst case, this is a guy that you feel like is a long-term piece for your team. Be nice for him to know where he's at when it comes to pitching against major leaguers.
He's already overachieved this year. Like I would have said success for Trey Savage in 2025 was ending really strong in AA. Set up AAA next year, debut midseason. Like this is his first pro season. He didn't pitch last year as a pro. So if he goes out and gets knocked, whatever. I trust him. He's an adult. I don't say that about all baseball prospects. Mm-hmm. All these 19, 20, 21-year-olds who come from pretty, unique paths into adulthood as a pro athlete.
Yep.
Trey Savage is a grown-up. He's an adult. He can handle it.
Yeah. I love that idea. I like that list. It's
a good list.
And I like that you had John Schneider in there.
There we go. I'll text it all to John Schneider right now.
Yeah,
to make sure that my
Schneider
requests, my DJ requests get
Make sure he understands that. But I do think that that's something that it's very unique to baseball that you would even have to suggest that the manager continues to be himself.
Yeah.
But
there's so many voices.
We know the way the sport works now.
Yeah.
That there are different departments and management is heavily involved with everything. And Schneider's not going to get away from that in terms of setting the lineup, in terms of probably setting whatever the rotation is going to be. And he very well could be in conjunction with all of it, right? But in reality, in 2025 in baseball, like if the GM, the front office goes, I want this guy in the lineup playing here, and they're probably going to win that battle. But in the moment, you got to be able to have the autonomy to make the calls.
Yeah.
And I think it's important, and I think it's imperative the players believe you're doing that.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
The players need to look at you and say, you better not be like waiting for the phone to ring for someone to tell you what to do. You better be on that top step ready to go with whatever we need in the moment.
There's a different feel when you are, I've never been in a dugout, but when you're on the bench as opposed to watching a game from the stands or up top, forget about it, man. You're in two different worlds, right? And he's the guy living and breathing the pulse of it right down there in the action with the group. What's the energy like on the field, in the dugout? He's the one who has his finger on the pulse of that. If he's taking a phone call or getting a message from someone up top, they don't have that.
Yeah.
There's something to be said for just being in the middle.
You're in the trenches, man. You can't look at a play card and be like, oh yeah, that's right. Last night over dinner we said after this guy comes up, we're gonna do you can't do that.
No. Players can sense it too. Anyone knows the difference between getting an email from your boss or your boss's boss. You want it to be the person that you see and talk to every day and who's real to you. But the players can sense that. If they know that there is someone else's hand moving that mouth, they know it. I've been around that. It's very clear, and it changes the entire mood of the clubhouse. This year, that's what Schneider's nailing, I think. I really think he is.
Yeah, I agree. We asked him that early in the year. I think he came on during the rainout in Baltimore. I remember we were in here because it was the Masters. It was the Thursday or the Friday, I think, of the Masters. And asked him that question about, what he's learned and what he's trying to apply differently this year. And he intimated that, I got to be myself and I got to have faith in my own instincts, and I'm going to do that. Basically put a stake in the ground.
Mm-hmm.
And to his credit, he's done that so far. But this is the dance now. Once you're into September, you got less than 30 games. You got a lead. The expectation is you win the American League East now.
Yeah.
That's the expectation. Wild card, okay, you're still in, but that's not going to cut it because the goalposts have moved. And that's a good thing in sports. You've moved them with your play.
Exactly.
You've boosted the expectations because you've played so well. So that has to continue. Mike sent a tweet in about Sunday, September 28th. Ryder Cup singles start at noon, or I guess probably a little bit earlier than that. But that is the last day of the Ryder Cup. Singles going off. You could have Scheffler, McIlroy at Bethpage Black. Ravens Chiefs is the 4:25 window. Packers Cowboys 8:20 p.m. kickoff. And there's a Blue Jay game in there as well. Are they at home against Tampa?
They are at home. I'll tell you which one of those things I'll be paying attention to, and it's not the one you'd guess. What a day.
Wow, what a scene, man. So, yeah, that's coming with his Parsons deal.
And that's going to be...
It's going to be unreal.
There's, like, sports tweets that day.
Oh, it's just going to be... It's going to be
all-time sports tweets.
Outrageously fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Jays have Brewers in town tomorrow, then at Cincinnati. They're at the Yankees next weekend for 3. That's a big, big series. And the penultimate series of the year is at home against Boston. So those are the 2 series.
Those are the big ones.
Yeah, those are the big ones. Yankees next weekend and Boston September 23rd, 24th, 25th.
That's why you need to keep that lead at more than 3 games.
Well, here's
one really bad weekend can screw it all up.
Also, there is a chance that last game on September 28th, like if they're tied with the Yankees or tied with the Red Sox or a game up, like I guess it would depend on where the tie breaks are. But that could be a very meaningful game. You hope not.
I think they have the tiebreaker against the Yankees, right?
I believe so,
That
yeah.
is done already.
And those days can get messy. I've sat in that press box, I think 2023, too, with flights to 5 different cities that same night.
Oh, God.
Right. Which has to get me put on a list of some sort.
Right.
I have hotels booked in 6 different cities for October 3rd right now.
Yeah.
Again, I'm probably getting pulled over at a border.
Yes. What is
but
this
it's
cat up to?
It's a wild day when it happens down at the end.
You're right. Yeah, because everyone's playing at the same time, and you don't know when it's, where you're going. Because they had that a few years ago. Remember, they finished with 91 wins, I think, and they missed. And they needed Baltimore to lose, and they needed the Yankees to lose, or whatever it was. And I can't imagine that'll be the situation this year, but there's a very good chance that's a really, really meaningful game. It could be. Hopefully, they put their feet up, and it's done, and it's all good. And, Lauer's pitching that game, and whoever it is, and you're just like, doesn't matter. Win or lose, we've secured our spot. Let's play.
Throwaway game down in Rochester.
Could be the case.
Eh?
Could be the case
line
down
from
there.
Miracle.
I love it. All right. Best Bets powered by FanDuel coming up. OverDrive continues. TSN 1050 and on TSN 2.
Back to Overdrive with Hayes, Noodles, and the O-Dog.
All right, so we were doing a Futures Day on FanDuel the other day, and at that point, Packers to win the Super Bowl was, 19-1? I believe 19-1. And now after this Parsons acquisition, they're up to 12-1. Same odds as the Lions. It's still, I think the Eagles are clearly the cream of the crop, should be, in the NFC. I think the Lions and Packers are right there. We'll see what we'll see what Minnesota does. We'll see what Chicago does. I'll believe it when I see it. The Rams, I think, are going to be a really good team if Stafford's healthy. I do think they're a wild card team. The Bucs could be good. They got some injuries to some pretty prominent players to start the year, but they've got a really weak schedule, really weak division. But yeah, I mean the NFC, it's available. It's available out there.
This division.
There you go.
Like, what would the Bills pay to move over to the NFC?
Good question.
What's that relocation fee?
It's a very good question.
$1 billion.
They're in a
lot of money.
Like, as we talk about the NFC,
now they got a soft. They have a soft
division, but when it comes to the playoffs, there's a challenge waiting for them, and it's going to be Mount Everest, and it's either we know what that looks like, whether it's the Chiefs or the Ravens, or if it's the Bengals, there's something waiting for them.
You're right. Like you got it. Mahomes is in the AFC. So if you're in the NFC, you can sleep at night if you're Buffalo. Yeah. And in the AFC, you got Baltimore's really good, Buffalo's really good, Kansas City's still going to be good. Right? Rashee Rice suspended now, but he will return. Yeah. You got Xavier Worthy, you've got Kelsey who's trying to reset the clock a little bit.
He probably gobbles up all the Rashee Rice stuff early in the year.
Yeah, exactly.
Deep a little bit more.
Yep, exactly. So I don't know. We'll find out.
Fresh
starting
off his
week
engagement.
Tonight. Fresh off his engagement.
What a moment.
Fresh off his engagement.
Did that take up the first 2 hours that day, or did you go full 3?
We hammered that a lot. Was that just you and I, Frank?
Yeah, we went.
There we go.
We went pretty in depth on that.
Wow.
Every hour.
Yeah.
On the hour.
As you would expect.
Yeah. Every hour on the hour.
Yeah. It's like a top 40
graphic
radio station.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Best Bets powered by FanDuel. The first inning means as much as the ninth when you bet baseball on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. I'm going with the New York parlay. Yankees big over the White Sox. Mets big over the Marlins. Parlay the two of them to win outright tonight, plus 146. Again, plus money on a New York parlay. Those are your best bets powered by FanDuel. Please play responsibly, 19 plus. Physically located in Ontario. All right, what a day. 5 o'clock, just after 5 o'clock. 5 p.m. news dump by the Cowboys.
Unreal, man.
Micah Parsons,
what a
Green Bay Packer.
What a privilege to be alongside both of you fine gentlemen, Packers fans.
Thank you.
As you went along that ride, we got a text from Joe Bowen during the show. He is so fired up. He says that the Markham ownership group of the Green Bay Packers is ecstatic.
Good.
They're freaking out. They're jumping up, yelling, "Holy Mackinac," up and down the street in Markham now.
This deal couldn't happen unless they signed off on it.
The Bowens signed off on this.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
I knew he would. I knew they would. I think he's a brilliant football mind. He knows what's up. Surprised he's not in South Bend this weekend. Usually he makes that road trip.
Yeah.
But anyway, there you go. Keegan, great seeing you, man. Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely. Nowhere I'd rather be for that. I might keep a few things. The pen, the frame, the jacket from today. It's Micah Parsons Day, guys.
Take it all. That's exactly what it was. What an experience. What a ride. Great seeing you guys, as always. We appreciate it. Thanks to everyone behind the scenes for helping out. We appreciate that. Everyone for tuning in today. TV, radio, podcast, web, and every hour of every show up on YouTube Live on TSN's YouTube channel. We're out of here. Enjoy your evenings. Enjoy the games tonight. We're back tomorrow at
4 p.m.
We'll chat then.
NFL kickoff weekend on TSN and CTV. 3 days of NFL football. Thursday night, Friday night, and all day Sunday. Yes! Dive into red zone action with TSN Plus. Wow! Kickoff weekend begins September 4th on TSN and CTV.
Coming up, the goaltenders finally get their time to shine.
Goodness me, how did that not go in? That is a fantastic save.
From the saves of the season.
It was behind him going in, and he turned around and batted it away with his paddle. Unbelievable.
To the saves of the century.
That is quite the most remarkable piece of goalkeeping I have ever seen.
Bow to the master. Hail to the master.
We've got all the best denials from the world's greatest netminders.
Take a look at this.